Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we're going to do one more Ryanair real ops as a lot of you have asked. Now I do apologize for starting a tiny bit later. As you can see, simulator is still loading up here, but it should be done pretty much any moment now. Reason for that is that, as always, the GW16579 has pointed out, if it's real ops it's gotta be delayed, so it is all part of the feature set, my friends. No, to be true, the real reason for it is that I have decided like 20 minutes prior to the live stream to run the GSX updater, and it just decided, well, it just wants to take too long. Anyway, I am going to make good use of the time in order to show you a little bit of how I would normally go ahead and set up for the live stream before I actually start it. So we've got the latest version of the 737 just loaded up over here in Edinburgh, and we are quickly going to go online on VATSIMs to make sure that we don't spawn in anybody before we start the actual pre-flight procedure. And once that is done, we are going to go over how I usually prepare my airplane for the stream. Alright, so that is pretty much that part of the setup. We are online. Let's quickly check that there is nobody sitting inside us. But this is looking pretty good. Quite busy over here at Edinburgh already. So let's quickly go real time. And then you can see already that I have loaded one of the Ryanair aircraft with a split scimitar winglets. And fittingly we went for the Echo India delay as well. Alright then, apart from that, what I usually do ahead of a live stream is to go into the aircraft setup. So we're going to start with this one, load airplane from another, and we're going to start with the Echo India Delta Alpha Delta setup. Which apparently doesn't look too correct, so let's quickly go over it to make sure that we actually got a Ryanair plane over here. We'll fly one of the older ones, so the Collins MCP is correct. We go for heading select. Glide slope capture before localizer denied, autoland is failed passive. Double D rate yes, takeoff bump no, company cost index 6, and then continuing on. We've got the V1, we got the bank angle, we got plus 100, minimums, 2500, 1000, 500 is smart, no 100 call, but we do have a 40 call over here, and that's pretty much that. Okay, it is one of the old aircraft, which does actually not have the terrain peaks mode. What that is, I'm going to explain as we are on the way. Certainly doesn't have ETOPS or ETOPS cargo fire system, but we do have the dual battery package today. Default transition altitude, I'm just going to set that as something like 6000. Setting like that doesn't exist on the real plane actually. On the real plane it takes it right from the database. So, 2 fixed pages, 15 knots underspeed margin, and now we have got the analog standby instruments. I do apologize for anybody who has to listen to the this. Short performance improvement yes, short field no, auto propede yes, steel brakes, and then we've got the original landing lights on this one. Air stairs yes, fuel switches old, single class cabin, and that is pretty much that. So window shades no, pressurization old, auto ignition no. And we do have a classic radio installed on this one. Perfect. Finally going over the displays. Ground speed display no, 100 knot bar no. Rising runway yes. Navigation performance scales not on the old ones. Round radio altitude dial. And then going down here we don't have landing flaps, we don't have an FPV heading scale. However we do have all of the others. Don't have an ethos map anyway. Track up yes, VSD yes, range arcs yes, but no VOR course lines. And then going over the rest of the stuff over here, we have quads for the oil quantity indications. Inverse yes, that's all correct. Okay, reference N1 never. Max continuous thrust box no. And finally we've got kilograms without flight control indicator or brake temperature indicator. And that's basically our setup. So that is the Ryanair, old school Ryanair airplane. Alright, cool. With all of that done, we can go ahead now and set our cold and dark with GPU panel state. And once the airplane is in the correct panel state, I am simply quickly going to run over the remainder of the setup. So if you hold the menu button, it's going to give you the menu, even if the plane is completely off. And now we'll go to FS Actions, Fuel, and normally they park at about 3... What's that? So, fuel, it's about 3,000 kilograms, like so. And for the payload, we start at 58.5 tons, which is like a typical zero fuel weight for Ryanair. Alright, cool. And that is our setup completed. Now we are ready to go. This is normally the kind of stuff that I would do ahead of the live stream. However, unfortunately today, as I explained, we couldn't do it beforehand. One of the cool things over here is that with the very old school Ryanair aircraft, the clock type that we have in here is actually correct. This is not a company option in PMDG, unfortunately, however it is in real life. And, well, as you can imagine, Ryanair mostly uses the new clocks. This is the old one that we've got in the plane over here. However, they don't use it entirely, okay? Alright, cool, so that's pretty much the pre-flight preparation completed, so let's go ahead. Very quick look outside into the airplane type that we got over here. It's the Delta Lima Yankee, the first Ryanair aircraft that was actually fitted with split scimitar winglets. So that is going to be quite that's going to be quite something new for our flight today. Alright then, so that's pretty much all the setup that we need to do ahead of the flight, so we can now go ahead and take a seat in the cockpit. We'll let the first officer handle the walk around today, but instead what we are going to do is we are going to have a very quick look over the flight plan so that we know what we are going to be up to today. So, straight from Simbrief, we have our flight on the 7th of October, FR 2674, Edinburgh to Copenhagen Kastrup. And the off-block is planned in 19 minutes, but that is gonna be alright, we're gonna make that. So let's have a very quick look down, and for the arrival airports, going to Copenhagen, this is looking really good, runway 04 probably in use. Vatsum 8 let's see, runway, yeah, 04 in use as expected. Alright, so no time-wise, I don't think there is gonna be anything too interesting for us. Let's see, runway no temp, that's just some temporary closures there, 2 to right, nobody cares. And couple distances changed. Okay, so no time wise we are running totally fine. Okay then, let's go ahead and make a fuel decision. And looking into the flight plan, our standard fuel would be 6 tons. Now, seeing that we're flying in a VATSIM event, I want to take 15 minutes on top, so 15 minutes more. This is like 600 kilograms. Let's make it 6.6 tons of fuel for our flight. Alright, cool. And with that, we have decided, so let's go ahead and power up the airplane. It is quite dark in here already, but I do suspect we're still gonna land in daylight in Copenhagen, even though just barely. Alright, let's go for this. Cool. So, then, we just said that we wanted 6.6 tons of fuel, so let's go ahead and get that fuel truck. 6.6 tons, thank you. And as soon as we are done with our safety inspection, we can then start boarding. Okay, so safety rainbow. Battery, power. All right. Transponder goes off, then we continue up here. Flight recorder works. Stall warning system. In the real airplane it would give you just a little, you know, just a split second vibration, but that's all you need really. Okay, IRSs, then we would also check for the PSEU light, which is alright, and make sure that there is nothing illuminated up here. Okay then, over to the left side, everything looks good, all the emergency equipment is there, and that's it, so let's take a seat. First thing to do when we take a seat, because I know that in the sim I do like to forget this. Okay, so oxygen is working, we got sufficient quantity, looks good. Alright, first things first, make sure the airplane is secure, so no weather radar on and stuff like that. Okay, perfect. Then what I like to do personally, just to dim those displays a little bit, because they are really, really bright in this one. Now, the Airbus is even worse in real life. In the Boeing you can kind of see everything fine, but in the Airbus, man, with the sunglasses on you can barely see anything on the displays. They could really be brighter, but, well. Okay, so let's go ahead and dim those down a little bit. That looks good to me. And now we've got our flight deck set up to a nice ambience that I do quite enjoy. By the way, talking about enjoying a nice ambience, have you seen that control tower here in Edinburgh? That's really, really an impressive look. Okay, very cool. So, then Max Racing is asking, which is harder, getting an A330 type rating or 737? Honestly, the 737 is a lot harder, just because the A330 is designed much more to the pilot comfort, so it's much easier as a pilot to get into the A330 than into the 737. Okay, cool, we can start the refueling, and the cabin should be prepared by now as well. Let's do an exception for once and go for a GSX boarding, because over here we are at a walk boarding stand, so I want to see if they simulate that correctly. Prior to the stream, I downloaded a custom profile here for the airport, so I really want to see if they are going to do walkboarding correctly. Having people walk all the way here from the terminal, over here, and then to the airplane. This, by the way, is not correct. We should not have stairs in the front. Well, I do suppose if they connected them already, we'll keep the air stairs retracted, and that's gonna be alright. Okay then, cool. So, with that done, let's go ahead and start our FMS setup. It's a 737-800 26K engines with up-to-date navigation data. And then we are going to depart Echo Golf Papa Hotel. Do you want to board crew? No, just go for passengers, please. We are on board already. So, Edinburgh towards Copenhagen, and we'll be RYANAIR 8 Yankee, which is the real-life flight number, by the way, for this flight. Oh, and you will probably be laughing, but I did actually fly this this very flight in real life already. So this is one of those that I did right at the beginning when I started my pilot's career. Alright, cool. So, that much about the general stuff over here. Next up, we've got a route given by the VATSIM event department, as this one is a VATSIM event, so we are obviously going to make use of that. And the departure that we are going to fly today, I do believe is the Grise departure, but give me a second to open my plan on the iPad, see how well prepared I am. Yeah, it's Grise 4 Delta. Okay, cool, so RYANAIR doesn't have any route uplink or stuff like that, so we just gotta have to type everything ourselves. And that takes us towards Asnet. And then we continue via Elzan. And then Vaxit. Tespi, and that's it already. So, Tespi, here we go. By the way, in case any of you are wondering, RYANAIR does not have any kind of uplinks or anything the likes. They don't have data link, so we actually gotta type everything ourselves. And I'm just entering runway 04 right here, because that is what I will be requesting, as the taxi is a lot shorter from 04 right than it is from 04 left. And saving any kind of time we can is certainly something that I will attempt. Okay, 2.20 fuel weight planned at 58.6, flight level 350, and for the wind it's 288 at 96. Okay, outside temperature is ISA +5, so we're looking at -48. Transition altitude 6001, welcome to the UK. Temperature +10 is correct, and for the engine out we are going to continue on the runway track. So we'll take Edinburgh /25, and that's gonna be it. Okay, climb page looks good. Then let's have a quick look into the legs page as well and compare it with our charts. Now, those of you who are really into the Boeing procedures are easily going to notice how much Airbus influenced my procedures are. And good question in the chat down there. How does it work with Ryanair pilots? Where are they based and how are things like that developing? Well, Ryanair pilots usually have a fixed home base. So, for example, that might be Edinburgh, that might be Dublin, that might be Stansted. They got like 80 bases in Europe. So, you got your fixed home base, and then out of the and then you would be assigned that base. And at some point afterwards, so let's say when you are fully checked out of line training and stuff like that, then they assign you that base. However, it can happen that they use you from a different base than the one that you have assigned, and in that case, you would be put into a hotel and they do stuff like that. But normally you're flying out of a fixed assigned base. Okay then, so how's the refueling going? It's complete. By the way, quick look outside. They're walking indeed, very nice. This is exactly how it works in Edinburgh. Good job. Overall, I have to say, let me get rid of that. This looks really good right now, doesn't it? At some point, the simulator's visuals are just really, really impressive. Alright though, let these guys work down there. We've got a little bit of work to do as well. As we still got a couple of flights ahead of us today. So, planned cruising level is gonna be 350, landing altitude 0. We got maintenance here, so we'll put the ignition to the right hand side. Then... Man, the Airbus had me there for a second. Wasn't sure whether to continue on the main panel as you would in the Airbus, or on the MCP as you would in the Boeing, but obviously, once you're back into it, it's quite an obvious choice. So, let's quickly run over the lights test, and we still got the pack lights inoperative. Man, I gotta push that one with PMDG. Can't be that the pack lights are just completely in up on the 800 for a year now. Certainly something they need to improve. So, quick check, oil quantity is 17 on each side is good, hydraulic quantity is good. So that is really all we need there. Alright, cool. Then, the brakes should be cooled, so let's set the park and brake. I'm not going to tune the radios just yet, because I want a little bit more silence before we get going. Okay then, let's get our charts in order to do the rest of the radio setup though. That's going to be 1 to 1.5 on radio number 2. And then we can also tune the Edinburgh ATIS there, I suppose. 1 to 1, no, 131, 355. Alright, here we go, 31355. And then for the COM1 we can pre-select the ground frequency 1 to 1755. However, I am not going to switch that active yet. Alright, cool. Gonna turn those up, and that should be it down here. Alright, so that should be this part completed. Let's quickly do the radio part as well. So, at 0.5 miles India Victor Golf, that's 108.9, we're gonna switch that active. 1089. Left 044 until 3 DME, and then a left turn outbound Sierra Alpha Bravo 12.5. That's gonna go here, and that's gonna go active here. Well, and then Tala 13.8, tell you what, I'm going to tune Tala over here on 13.8, and that's it. Okay, so that should be a good setup. Then for the courses, 286 on the left side for the initial outbound, like that, and 044 as a reminder for our initial heading right there. Okay, perfect. So, that should be all we need for the preparation. So let's go ahead and grab the ATIS real quick. 131355, I said.
Advise aircraft type on first contact.
So tell me about the noise level of the Watson ATC, if you can hear them well or if there is any problem with it, please.
Runway in use 06. Transition level, flight level 70. Surface wind 070 degrees 13 knots. Visibility 3,000 meters like Throttle. Broken 400 feet. Overcast 1,200 feet. Temperature +10. Dew point +9.
Okay, a bit too quiet, some say. I'm gonna turn them up. Then do let me know how that works out.
And advise aircraft type on first contact.
So, ATIS Papa.
Edinburgh information Papa. Time 1420 Zulu. Runway in use 06. Transition level, flight level 70. Surface wind 070 degrees 13 knots. Visibility 3,000 meters like Throttle. Broken 400 feet. Overcast 1,200 feet. Temperature +10. Dew point +9. QNH 1019. Acknowledge receipt of information Papa. And advise aircraft type on first contact.
Okay, so 1019, let's go ahead and grab our clearance then.
1420 Zulu.
Edinburgh ground, Ryanair 8 Yankee information Papa 737-800 soon QNH 1019, I request clearance to Copenhagen.
Ryanair 8 Yankee Edinburgh ground, hello. Clear to Copenhagen on the right for Delta departure walk 076.
Ryanair 8 Yankee clear to Copenhagen, right for Delta departure squawk 0762.
Edinburgh ground, good afternoon, Ryanair.
Okay, no readback correct, well, fine. 0762. Ah, here we go, readback correct, perfect. Alright then, so, let's go ahead with our departure briefing. Threats for the departure? Well, I don't really see any, to be honest. In case we have to do an immediate turn back, the cloud base is rather low over here, so that is a bit of a problem there. But it's still above the Cat 1 minima, so an immediate return is possible should we need to. Then let's go ahead with the route check, please. Okay, Echo Golf Papa Hotel towards Echo Kilo Charlie Hotel, Romeo Yankee Romeo 8 Yankee. And the route is via Grice, Papa 600 Asnot, direct Elzon, direct Vaxit, direct Taspi, with a Taspi arrival for runway 04 right for the moment. And the ground distance on that is supposed to be 608 versus 606, 3.4 tons remaining, and 2.2 tons required, giving us about, yeah, roughly half an hour extra. Alright, it's going to be a lefty takeoff runway 06, flaps 5, noise abatement procedure 1 here in Edinburgh, and we've got a little special here in that LNAV is unable to do the initial tracking, so we are going to do heading select on the takeoff, and then once we started the first turn to the left, we can engage LNAV and it is going to capture normally. Okay, I'm going to skip over the emergency briefing. We just did that in detail in the briefing room already, and I tell you honestly, I don't even know it by heart anymore. I would have to read it up if I were to fly the 737 again, so a little bit of preparation would be required there. In any case, Let me give it a try anyway. So, before 80 knots I'm going to abort for any malfunction, above 80 knots only for engine fire, failure, predictive wind shear, or aircraft unable or unsafe to fly. If I call stop, I will simultaneously close the thrust levers, disengage the auto thrust, apply max manual braking, or verify operation of the RTO auto brakes. Once the airplane comes to stop, I am going to set the parking brake. Let's continue on the FO side. If you call stop, I will note the brakes on speed, call speed brakes up or speed brakes not up, and thrust reverse normal up, normal indication. Call 100 knots, 8 knots, 6 knots, and the runway distance remaining. Verify your actions and call your emissions. I call auto brake disarm and select flaps 40 when the parking brake has been set, and advise ATC of the reject. Okay, we will evaluate the situation and apply any actions as necessary. If we need to evacuate, we're going to read and do the evacuation checklist from the backside of the QRH. You grab the lid, then we get out. If the call before we want to keep going, there will be no actions below 400 feet except to cancel engines, raise landing over the positive rate of climb. 400 feet, verify heading, select carry out memory items at the MFRA, bulk up, retract flaps and schedule. Flaps up no light, select level change, MCT, engage the automatics, non-normal checklist, normal checklist, Piosi, NITS, PA, and that's it. Alright, so I can still do it! Yay! Okay then, cool, let's have a look into the charts now. We're standing on 1 alpha, that is a pushback to the left-hand side. And then it's going to be taxi out via Echo Alpha towards the full length. We are not going to take any Bravo figures. Okay, Grice 4 Delta departure, that is on a chart 10-3 Bravo from the 20th of April 2018. Transition altitude 6000 versus 6001. Sits includes noise preferential routes. Noise preferential route terminates at 3000, so for that reason we're going to take NADP1. Cruising levels will be allocated after takeoff by Scottish Control. Report call sign, sit designator and current altitude and cleared altitude on first contact with Scottish Control. Speed max 250 below 100 unless otherwise authorized. So let's have a quick look in here. There we got it, 250 below 100. Okay then, in terms of the route, climb ahead to 0.5 DME India Victor Golf, that's the alpha point, or 640, whichever is later, so we got a 640 restriction on here. Actually it is whichever is earlier, okay. Then turn left, 044 track, so that is probably the reason why... This is probably exactly the reason why LNAV isn't working on this one. So that is the reason we got to use heading select. Because it is a whichever is earlier, and the FMC has it coded as a whichever is later. Okay, then turn left, 044 track. At 3 DME India Victor Golf, that is what we've got over here. Turn left, intercept Sierra Alpha Bravo radial 286. So that is, yeah, well, almost what we got over there. And cross 46 miles above 4,500, maximum 6,000 feet, that's what we have. Turn right, intercept Tala radial 347 to Grice at 6,000, and that's what we have in here. Okay, conventional backup then, we got India Victor Golf tuned active in the number 1, so we got it on the PFD up here at 0.3 miles. Sorry, at 0.5 miles, or 640, whichever earlier left, 044, 3 miles left, outbound on the radial, that is pre-selected on the right-hand... sorry, that's pre-selected on standby over here, and active on the NAV2. Okay, any questions? No? Very good. Then let's quickly talk to the passengers, and then we go. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon and welcome aboard our RYANAIR flight taking you to Copenhagen. My name is Emmanuel and I am your captain today. Expected flight time is an hour and 20 minutes. We expect a smooth flight at 35,000 feet. In truth, we're going to get back to you with the latest details of our flight, and until then I would like to say thank you very much for being our guests today. Sit back, relax and enjoy the flight with us. And once again, we are going to update you later on. For now, please listen carefully to the cabin crew safety demonstration, which is going to commence very shortly. That is not only for your own safety, but also for the safety of the passengers sitting around you. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again, welcome aboard. Alright, cool. Then let's go ahead with the... our FMS setup. So, weight and balance. We should have a load sheet by now. 58.5 versus 58.6, that's good enough, and that is 65.1. Looks good to me. Okay, it's gonna be 22k, 35 degrees, and for the takeoff, it's gonna be flap 5, CG, as per over here, and it's gonna be a wet runway, so that is alright. Okay, takeoff speeds 126, 134, 141.
Yeah, for 872 Charlie Hotel, we have information public accumulation 10.
Here we go, and trim is going to be at 6 units.
Oh, you're going for it,
Alright, very good. So, that is pretty much our setup completed. And with all of that done, we can go ahead with the checklist. Okay, safety inspection checklist and before start checklist. Down to the line, please. Service and shocks, check. Maintenance status, check. Battery, on. Electric hydraulic pumps, on. Landing gear lever, down. Ship's library is checked. Okay, let's really quickly bring the APU online so that the GSX guys can prepare the airplane, please. Can release the fuel tug and remove the chocks. Okay, let's continue with the before start checklist. RS mode selectors, nav, gear pins. 1, 2, 3 removed. Probe covers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 removed. Light test checked. Oxygen test 100%. Yaw damper on. Nav transfer and display switches normal and auto. Fuel, that's 6,000 required, 6,600 on board. 4 pumps on. Cabin utility IV galley power on. Emergency exit lights armed. Fast modes on. Window heat on. Air conditioning pressurization. PAX auto bleeds on set. Pressurization mode selector. Auto instruments. Cross checked. Auto brakes. RTO. Hydraulics. Those are normal. Speed brake. Down attend, park and brake, set, stop and cutout switches, normal. Wheel well fire warning, checked, radius, radar and transponder, set and standby, radar and aileron trims, 3 and 0. Takeoff briefing, discussed, PA complete, FMC and CDU. Set, that one is going to be in use by GSX anyway. So, N1 and IS box, we have them in automatic. Reduced 22k, speeds 126, 134 and 141 set. Stop trim 5.9 set. Performance weight and balance, sign send, phones off, EFB, airplane mode stowed, flight windows and cockpit door are locked, doors closed, passengers seated. Before start checklist complete down to the line. Okay, so 6,000 was cleared. Then let's go ahead and grab our pushback clearance. Man, those Airbus checklists really make me happy. Those Airbus checklists really make me happy. They're so much easier than the Boeing stuff we used earlier.
Confirm slot 5237.
5227.
5227 for airport.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, stand 1 Alpha, request pushback and startup.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, stand by.
Okay, stand by, so there's probably somebody behind us. Yep, there is. I really like the graphics over here, by the way. This is Edinburgh Airport from Paraguay, and he's really doing an awesome job. He's really doing an awesome job on the sceneries. As mentioned, I've flown out of Edinburgh for quite a while, and it's really beautiful airport. Okay, so that's probably going to be a pushback facing north. Okay, so now it's just waiting for the aircraft behind us, but that guy's going, so the British is probably going next. RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, when clear the British Airways push and start approved, face north. Okay. Before start checklist below the line, air compacts off, anti-collision light on, park and brake set, transponder out off. Before start checklist complete. Okay, so where is the British Airways? There he's going. Alright, ground cockpit, go ahead. Please confirm doors and hatches are closed, ground cockpit removed, bypass pin is installed. Yes, that's all confirmed. Okay, push approved, face north, park brake set. Release park and brake, please. Park and brake released. Okay, off block at 08, and the delay will completely go on the delay updating GSX prior to the live stream. So it's going to be 62 delay code operational reasons. And Robin, how would you know if you're clear of the aircraft behind you in real life? You would talk to the ground crew, and they would have a look behind you, and they will tell you when you're clear.
Yes, you gave me permission after the company aircraft.
Alright, cool. So, we are clear of the gate area, starting engine 2.
Edinburgh ground, EZ307. I called and you said after the company aircraft push and start.
So that's N2.
EZ307.
Oil pressure.
Ah, must have been previous control there. Alright, no problem.
N1. 25.
3323, contact tower now. 118.
Fuel on.
Production 118.
Valves operating.
11805, touching on frequency. Have a good day, EZ223.
Okay, we can pre-select that. Flight information set. And my Polish friend, do you always isolate a pack or only in hot weather? Only in hot weather, really. Okay, so that's good start on 2, starting 1. Like right now, 10 degrees and rain, you can see no need to isolate a pack. If we have a quick look into what the cabin temperature is, you can see it's just above 20, like 22 degrees or so, so no need to isolate a pack there. Okay, N2, oil pressure, N1. Okay, stand by ground. So once the engine is past 50% N1, that is basically self-sustaining RPM, so... Okay, ground cockpit, you're clear to disconnect. Show me the pin on the right hand side with a pin, and have a good day, bye-bye. Okay, start a cutout. Monitor 1. 1 stable.
Alright,
the pin is seen. It's 10 degrees outside, so we are going to use engine anti-ice for that one. Okay, so the ground guys are clear, flight control track. Okay, this one says tie on above 10, doesn't matter, we'll need it after takeoff. Okay, before taxi checklist. Generators on, APU off, start switches continuous, probe gauge on, anti-ice, and yeah, anti-ice on. Air conditioning, PAX auto bleeds on, isolation valve auto, flaps. That's 5 required, 5 selected, and the green light. Step trim, 5.9 units required and set. Start lever side, lieutenant, flight control checked, recall checked, before taxi checklist complete.
Taxi to runway 06 via polling point Alpha 1 via Echo and Alpha, EZ306. Sorry, correction, EZ307.
Ryanair 8 Yankee Yankee, request taxi.
Ryanair 8 Yankee Yankee, continue down Echo, give way to the EasyJet A320 Neo, from right to left of Foxtrot, taxi Alpha 1 by Echo and Alpha.
Ryanair 8 Yankee Yankee, number 2 behind the EasyJet, and taxi holding point Alpha 1 via Echo and Alpha. Okay, that's the EasyJet up there, we are number 2 behind him.
72 Charlie Hotel, ground,
okay, Brackenberg off, config, checked, let's go. Clear left side, clear right side. So taxi is fairly easy, straight ahead, left turn out, once we're clear of the apron, and that's it.
Taxi, hold short gold 1. Taxi, hold short gold 1.
So we just gotta wait for that easy to start moving now.
Gold Tango, and ground pair, low, stand 15 Bravo.
Okay, now the easy is moving. Passing a road, but we're all clear. Alright, that does look good to me.
Good nose 1123, ready for taxi.
Good nose 1123, roger, seek Golf, hold short Golf 1.
Taxi Golf, hold short Golf 1, 1123.
Okay, come on, easy. You gotta start moving. RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee. Just confirm we're number 2 behind the easy that's still standing down on our right hand side.
Yeah, I'm presuming he's looking at his chart. Yeah, just skip away.
Any chance we can get number 1?
Just give a couple of seconds. You might stop me.
Okay, so we'll just hold here. RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee. Alright, so holding in front of the line over here so that the easy can get past. Right, now he's moving. Ooh, lovely GSX pushbacks in progress back there.
Air France 230 after the Blue Max post every donation to passes from.
Alright. So, clear him, let's continue.
Going Alpha 1 for the flight.
113, Alpha 1, 120,
Taxi, Hollywood Alpha 1, Golf, Lehman Alpha, Red Nose 1123.
Grand Hello College 698, holding Alpha 1. Cargo 698, in the ground alert, making left upper, stand 203.
Okay then, off to the left, we're clear on the right, and then when we're over here...
Correction, call sign only tower 118.705, bye-bye.
Easy 307, contact tower on 118.705, Easy 307.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee, call sign only tower 118.705, bye-bye.
118.705, RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, see you later. Okay, so let's continue with the before takeoff checklist down to the line. Config. Checked. Flaps. 5. Green light. Step trim. That's 5.9 units. Set. Takeoff briefing. So it's going to be a lefty takeoff. Runway 06, flaps 5, noise abatement 1, and the takeoff speeds 126134141. Now sit straight out till 640 feet or 0.5 dm from the ILS. It's going to be 640 feet first, and then it's going to be a left-hand turn heading 044, and after that we can activate LNAV and then continue on the sit. Okay, apart from that, what else do we do? Emergency straight ahead, 25 miles, climbing 3000, that's going to keep us safe, and that's really all. Apart from that, PAX auto, bleeds on, anti-ice on, and that is it. Any questions?
Hearing 74, Edinburgh Town, good afternoon, continue
No,
very traffic
very good.
06, number 1.
Okay, and finally, holding at the cabin. Edinburgh Tower, RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, ready for departure.
07, good afternoon. Presently heading to holding point Alpha 1, Easy 307.
Two stations got you back, Easy 307 Edinburgh Tower, good afternoon, roger, break, RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee Edinburgh Tower, good afternoon, roger.
Okay, Easy, you can do more than 5 knots.
Easy 3323 behind the landing,
At least I surely hope you can.
A320 at 5 miles, via Alpha 1, line up runway 06 behind.
Behind the Eurowings A320, line up runway 06 by Apple. Easy 232.
Hearing 74, surface wind 080 degrees, 12 knots, runway 06, clear to land.
So, Ferraz has been asking in the chat, he's in the 787 and outside temperatures are minus 50 degrees. Do you need anti-ice? No, you don't. Below minus 40 degrees, the icing can't stick to the airplane anymore. It's going to be so deeply frozen that it can't freeze onto your plane. So you don't need anti-ice in these conditions. Forrest, hi, nice to see you here. The first flight is expected at about 1 hour 20 and the return at about 1:45, something like that. And Eric, did I enable ads on my streams, or is YouTube once again being annoying? I didn't actually enable anything myself, but YouTube did give me a notification that there was a change done on the system side, that they did something with ads in the live stream, but I just kept my settings exactly as they were, didn't touch them. So if anything's been added there that shouldn't be there, then I'm gonna review that later. But I can't change it while the stream is running as far as I'm aware. I would have to stop the stream for that. So I'll do it later on then. And Zachary, what is the maximum speed on taxiway? So on a straight taxiway like this one, it's 30 knots, 30. Now on a turn of 90 degrees, it would be 10 knots, and if it's contaminated, it's 5 knots. Now for a rapid exit taxiway off a runway, that's taxiway leaving the runway at no more than 45 degrees angle, it would be 55 by ICAO and, well, about 45 by most operators. So that Easy got one unfair advantage over us up there. He's sitting in an Airbus. If he is halfway empty, then his aircraft is going to roll on idle thrust, while ours will every now and then need a little bit of thrust. That might be the reason he's going so slow, because as you can see, there are like 1, 2, 3, 4 aircraft ahead of us now, so with 4 aircraft ahead of us, there's no reason to taxi fast anyway. So he can just let his Airbus roll on idle thrust, not using up any additional fuel, while our 737 would typically need a little bit of thrust to get going, and then need a little bit of thrust like every now and then. So the Airbus got a little the Airbus got a little unfair advantage there over our 737.
Good afternoon, Roger.
And Robin, is that an accurate brightness setting? For the displays, I would say so, yeah. However, you know, some people prefer them on auto and then the plane might just do anything. Personally, I preferred always just to turn them fully up and that's it. Right. Let's stop over here.
Again, I fully established about ILS for the second time.
Oh.
10110 Tower, good afternoon again. Continue approach on 06 number
and
1.
now he's taxiing ahead a little bit. Let's bring it on once more.
Wish me luck.
Easy 3323, surface wind 080
Did the
degrees.
guy on the radio just say wish me luck for the approach? Oh boy, love it.
Going 74, welcome to.
And look at the windsock over here. It's coming from like a little angle, but not too much, so it's mostly just wind on the nose here. However, Edinburgh can be particularly nasty because of all those hills you have in the approach area. So even a wind that's coming straight on the nose can make the landing, well, let's just call it rather exciting. But I've seen wind shear go-arounds, even though the windsock was just like it is right now, like 15-20 knots down the runway. Once you've got 30 knots down the runway, it's really a gamble if you are going to get a wind shear or not. And that's what makes Edinburgh such an interesting airport, especially in the opposite direction in runway 24. It really gets especially interesting there, but 06 can also be interesting. It's a little bit of a special airport, that's for sure.
Ryanair 1108, surface wind 080 degrees, 12 knots from 06, clear to land.
Clear to land, Ryanair 1108.
Scandinavian 433 behind the landing, Ryanair Boeing 737 at 4 miles, via Alpha 1, line at runway 06 behind.
Those behind instructions here, I'm not sure if they're entirely legal in this kind of weather. Like you really can't see anything.
34.775, bye-bye.
Let's breeze like that. 34775, that's the en route frequency, I do hope. And racetrack pilot, 555, wet, still just did a decrab on type rating, but cadets, everything is really restricted on the line. Yeah, indeed. Flying the line in Edinburgh is interesting, to call it that way, when you're inexperienced because of all these turbulences you have there. And Rory, I'm about to start my IFR training. Have you got any advice? Yeah, most importantly, I think I learned best by doing everything we learned in the theory in the evening in my home simulator, just to see how everything looks like when the needles are moving and stuff like that.
Great.
Did that guy just say he's going around and the tower replied great, or... I didn't quite catch that as I was explaining something, but that sounded interesting.
RYANAIR 9 Papa Golf, Shadow Attack, good afternoon.
So, is there more guys coming behind us? Oh! Whoopsie! That looks rather busy behind us. That indeed looks rather busy. I don't want to be that EasyJet in the back there. They're not getting too many people out at the same time right now, so that might take a while for the guys in the back there. Wow. Didn't expect that. Man, that is quite a lot of people waiting. Okay, the Scandinavian is lining up. What's also interesting to notice, by the way, is how close those guys are taxiing to one another. Like, I would never taxi that close to an airplane. You would really just be running straight into the jet blast, and your entire cabin would start to smell like engine exhaust. And if you're staying in that for a matter of only a couple of minutes, your passengers are going to be quite unhappy, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of those, because the passengers can't see where it's coming from, they just smell this, and then they just want to typically offload themselves straight away. So, always keep a little bit of distance. Like right now, I'm a little bit close to that Easy in front, but I just wanted to keep my airplane rolling, because I knew that he would start moving anytime soon. So you see, I'm just letting it roll gently at 1 knot, because no reason to go faster. Now that the EasyJet is turning away from, or is turning his jet blast away from our position, now we can taxi up a little bit closer. But we still got to keep enough distance that if he goes really violently to the right, we don't want his sharklet in our cockpit.
Scandinavian 433, surface wind 080 degrees, 12 knots, runway 0, disregard.
And Jonah, what type ratings do I have at the moment? Well, right now it's the 737-300 through the MAX and the A330, A350. Even though probably no airline would just give me an A350 to fly, but technically speaking it's the same type rating, so I am rated to fly it.
RYANAIR 110,
even though I never touched one.
Ground 121.755, goodbye.
Oh, 12 Alpha, contact ground 121.755, goodbye.
Okay, so I'm just keeping slowly creeping forward here, but we're slowly getting into the jet blast of the Easy, so I do hope that he's gonna start his turn now, that I don't need to brake my plane. But yeah, he's moving, perfect. So I'll just keep rolling slowly forward, you know. I mean, look at that speed. This is really like probably a tortoise would go faster than we do. Man, this is a lot of aircraft behind us. This is really a lot of aircraft. I do hope that our departure from Copenhagen later on is going to be a little bit more relaxed than sitting right at the end of that queue over there. And Boudwin, do you have an option to filter out all those outside smells in the air conditioning just like you have in a car? No, you don't. When you taxi too close up to an airplane, then that is... well, then you can't avoid that. It's just gonna happen. And the A330, by the way, has an interesting problem there as well. You know, they say in the Airbus SOPs to turn on the APU bleed when you taxi into the gate, but if you do that, you are going to ingest engine fumes. So, you know, the best moment to turn on the APU bleed is when you let the airplane taxi into the gate, and just before your colleague switches off the engine masters, you turn on the APU bleed. That way you can avoid that smell entering the cabin. But it's really literally like a matter of seconds within which you would do that. And Seb, hi Emmanuel, just a question. What would you set as a decision height on a visual approach? None at all. You are visual with the airfield already, so you don't need a minimums anymore.
Shuttle 9 Delta, surface wind 080 degrees, 12 knots, runway 06, clear to takeoff.
And Thomas, what do I think about the RYANAIR liveries included in the PMDG Operations Center? Well, the colors are a little bit off, but the verified airline configs are really, really good. Well, I made them myself, so... And they actually reflect every single airplane that is in the Ops Center, in that every single one of those aircraft has the correct representation. So if you're flying a livery like an older one, I believe it's Delta Charlie Oscar that's included. If you fly one of those, you're gonna get an old setup like the one we have right here. If you fly the latest ones, or if you fly one of the Malta Air or bus aircraft, all of those are going to have their separate but correct airline configuration included. So that is quite amazing, as you can really see all the differences there are in the RYANAIR fleet. Apart from that, the color, as I mentioned, is not exactly accurate. And Ruhan, did I test the 777 by PMDG? I'm afraid I'm not allowed to comment on that. And Jensen, is this a return flight? I do surely hope for it. Depending on how much time we're using up, I'm probably gonna fly back, yes. And student pilot asking up there, is there any news if RYANAIR is going to drop the 30,000 for the type rating? Unfortunately, none that I know of.
ED-307 behind the landing, RYANAIR.
And JK, I wish PMDG had the windshield water animations like the Phoenix. Yeah, the problem with that is Phoenix has done a custom simulation of the Phoenix has done a custom simulation of that effect. PMDG is using the standard Asobo effect. And Asobo has promised since years already, ever since they started the sim, they've promised that eventually wipers are going to be simulated. So PMDG relied on that and used those effects. And every time they're asking, Asobo just responds with like, yeah, we are gonna do it next update, next update, next update, and nothing happens. So eventually it should come, but as part of the standard simulator effect update, and that would mean that you don't need to do a custom effect, which is going to save, like, I don't know, a month of developing time or so, which can then be invested differently. For example, maybe into, eventually, an EFB, or into a better 777 model, or you name it. And SP, I just came across this channel. I'm a captain or first officer on the 330. On the 330, I'm an FO.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee behind the departing EasyJet A320 via Alpha 1, line up runway 06 behind.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee behind the departing EasyJet 320 via Alpha 1, line up 06 behind.
ED-307, surface wind 080 degrees, 12 knots, runway 06, clear for takeoff.
So, not gonna arm LNAV as briefed. So, before takeoff checklist below the line. MCP, set, transponder, Tara, strobe lights on, holding at landing lights. Okay, easy, it's your turn. Come on, you need to roll, otherwise I need to stop. Okay, he's rolling, perfect. Just about the right moment. Otherwise we would have needed to stop in front of the whole throttle line over here. Vuitoy, ask me that question again when we're en route, and I'll gladly answer it in a little bit more detail. Right now on the runway, I'll just keep that stuff as short as possible.
Everyone's 230 behind the departing RYANAIR Boeing 737 via Alpha 1, line up runway 06 behind.
Find the traffic line up and wait runway
EDI-307, contact Scottish Control on 126.3 behind.
EDI-307, contact Scottish Control on 126.3. EDI-307.
Okay, probably a new departure frequency. 1263, let's pre-select that. So we'll do a little bit of manual flight, but if it's getting too busy for whatever reason, then I am going to, then I am simply going to engage the autopilot. We talked about the RNAV problem over here, that we will depart and heading select. We're looking for 0.5 miles India Victor Golf, all 640 feet, whichever is earlier. So
Right at 8 Yankee Yankee, surface wind 080 degrees, 12 knots, runway 06, clear for takeoff.
Run 8 Yankee Yankee, runway 06, clear for takeoff. Landing lights on before takeoff checklist complete. Okay, timing. Stabilized. Set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. 80 knots, checked. You're up. Okay, that's 640 feet, left heading 044.
Right at 8 Yankee Yankee, contact Scottish Control on 134.775, bye-bye.
134.775, RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, bye-bye. So it was the other frequency.
If you in the pilot
775.
EDI-715, Edinburgh Tower.
Okay then. LNAV. Scottish, good afternoon, RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, Grise for Delta 2900, climbing 6000. Buck up.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, Scottish Control, get on to me.
Okay, set standard. Actually, no, remain on local, but flaps 1. Speed checked, flaps 1.
Ships for 9 Delta, Scottish Control, get on to me.
Flaps up. Speed check, flaps up.
Check 78 Hotel, nothing further, monitor Unicom 122, decimal way below.
EDI-333.
Okay, flaps up my lights. VNAV. Wipers off.
Check 2293, climb flight level 250.
Okay, we can go speed and event, 250.
Alpine 25 Kilo Foxtrot, climb flight level 370.
Like that. And then we got 1000 to go.
Ships for 9 Delta, climb flight level 350.
Okay, vertical speed.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, climb flight level 100.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, climb flight level 100. Okay, command A.
Channel 22903, climb flight level 250.
Set. 100 checked. VNAV. Restriction is clear. Let's stay in speed in event 250. Okay then, and the after takeoff checklist, please. Engine anti-ice off. Right, so air condition and pressurization is at 2.8, climbing and set. Altimeters, yeah, now set standard.
Canex 229 is 3 control.
Okay, standard cross check, passing level 73.
Canex 293, go
Checked. After takeoff checklist
Contacted
complete.
you 3 times and once on text, climb flight level 250 and monitor the frequency.
Vertical speed.
Climb 250, I'm sorry for
Wow, this looks really nice getting out of the clouds here. This looks really nice, doesn't it? Okay, so awaiting for the climb.
Flight level 140.
Ryanair 8 Yankee Yankee, climb flight level 140. Set. 140 checked. And I'll just wait a moment before going into VNAV again, because I want that speed restriction out. And I'm too lazy to delete it manually. In real life I would have done it, but in here I would need to lean over at first and then do all those changes, so here we go. Okay, VNAV. Okay, and altimeters. Passing level 101, climbing level 140, 10 checks. Fuel balanced with 4 pumps on, lights off, APU off, air condition pressurization 4.1, climbing and set, fasten belts. Let's just release the cabin crew at first. Okay, cabin crew released, monitoring 1 to 1.5, and that should be the 10 checks pretty much complete. Alright, cool, and with that we are on the way. So, avoiding that little cloud up there, that should be just about good enough. Yep, that is actually a perfect turn. Well, actually, you know what? Give me a bit more heading. Or a bit more bank, please. Heading select. Yeah, good enough. LNAF. I was just avoiding the majority of that little cloud up there.
Bird nose for Mike uniform, little control hello, flight level 350.
Okay, vertical speed. 1,000 to go. Man, it's actually quite busy on this departure here. Lots of things to do. And that was quite an undershoot of the autopilot. Didn't expect that. But well, things happen, I suppose.
You too.
Okay, so, that looks okay to me. Let's have a quick look on the outside. As those visuals here in MSFS are just amazing, aren't they? I really love how this looks. Kinda love the split scimitar winglets on the 737 as well. Glad to hear that Ryanair has finally got a couple of them. I believe it's 30 or so. By now, at least. Alright, so I do suppose that sun is going to be down by the time we land in Copenhagen. I kind of wished for a sunset landing, but I have a feeling it's going to be dark by that time. But it is this time of the year again where you really run into flying mostly at night flights. So we're running pretty late. I'm gonna do something that is not Ryanair relops right now, and that is increasing the speed a little bit. So let's see, for the cruise at planned Mach 0.74, yeah, don't really need to do that. 2.9 on the arrival, so we can go a little bit faster. Tell you what,
Moonflower 64 Alpha Mike, report your...
Let's go 320 knots. Or actually, let's go 315, because from 316 onwards, the airplane is going to pick up on that you're flying faster than standard.
Flight level 370.
Ryanair 8 Yankee Yankee, request level 350 final.
Ryanair 3 Yankee Yankee, flight level 350.
Thank you, climb flight level 350, Ryanair 8 Yankee Yankee. Let's set that real quick. Here we go. Okay, so flight level 350 set once, twice, and 3 times, and we are monitoring 1 to 1.5. Okay, so I'll just keep this as it is, and we'll reset the cruise mark number to 0.79. And when the company complains, we're gonna do exactly what we would have done in real life as well. Tell the airline that ATC instructed a faster speed. If you're wondering why the target speed has been so low in first place, then the explanation for that is, as you can see, we've got a rather high optimum level here, almost 390, but if we are going to have a look into the wind chart a little bit later on, then you will see that we actually got the best tailwind at flight level 350, and for that reason we have decided on level 350 for our cruise. Now at 330 the wind would be even stronger, but the lower cost index would have meant flying for a longer time and therefore eating up that additional fuel. Now, what we can do, real quick, is to have a look into SimBrief, just to see that once more, and see if we may want to level off a little bit lower even. So here's our SimBrief route, and then going down here, first of all, this is what I looked at prior to the flight. So 350 is planned, and it told us up here that it has planned the optimum flight level. Now, if we look down here, then you can see that flying 2,000 feet below our planned level would save us a little bit of fuel, but add a minute of flight time, while on the same occasion here, and flight level 370 would use the same time, but at a little bit increased fuel usage. And if we look at the wind chart over here, then we can kind of see why. You can see the wind symbols over here. Now, one of those big triangles there is 50 knots. A large dash is 10 knots, a small one is 5 knots. So you can see over here, for example, you've got 115 knots of tailwind. And that's for flight level 350. Now if I go for 370, you can see really not too much of a difference, but we did lose a little bit on the first place of the flight. Now, checking flight level 330 down here, you can see there is even a little bit more wind there, like 120 knots. So comparing 3.5 and 3.7, well, over here we are running a little bit better at 3.5, so 350 gives us the best tailwind, and for that reason that is the level that we are going to fly. Another way that you can use to determine something like this is going down here into the wind data block for the wind information. So checking this out, you can see that if we take a waypoint that's somewhere in the middle, so for example over here you've got Elsan, if we take that, at flight level 330 you get a wind of 292 at 108, 350 is the same wind at 112, and 370 is roughly the same wind at 115. Now, going a little bit further, we see kind of the same picture at Vaxit again, and at the top of climb up here, it's almost the same again, so 370 does seem to have a little bit more wind, but 350 is a little bit more fuel conservative on the overall profile. For that reason, we're going to stay in 350 as our cruising level, even though the optimum would almost be 390. However, something to consider when you're doing this is that flying a low cost index like Ryanair does, cost index 6, the airplane is going to give you a really slow cruising speed. So if you go on an econ over here, it's just Mach point 373 compared to, for example, Mach point 7.8 that you would do when flying close to the optimum level. And show you that as well. If we enter 390 as cruising level up here, you can see it increases Mach 7.7, but that is just a little bit of fuel economics that you can use over here to handle all the or that you can take into account in order to optimize your flight path. Now, most important over here though all these kind of things that we just thought about. You know, changing speed in order to be a little bit more on time and stuff like that. That is stuff that we do in my new airline, but that is not stuff that you do in Ryanair. In Ryanair, you just look at the winds, you look at where you get the quickest speed with the given cost index, because Ryanair does not want you to change your speed. They just want you to fly the cost index, really. So for that reason, when you fly cost index 6, generally the higher you go, the faster you are. But on some occasions, when you've got winds like now, where the flight planning system says that a lower level is a better level, then you can opt for that as well, and it is going to give you pretty much like, well, the most economical level, which must not necessarily be the fastest. And Ryanair doesn't care too much about delay. They just say you can make up delay on the ground by doing a fast ground handling, by taxiing fast, stuff like that. But you are not going to save much. You're not going to save much from. Well, you're not going to save much from flying faster, because you are also burning a bit more fuel. Now, to put that into relation, we could see that we are burning roughly 100 kilograms extra fuel now. So compared to the standard cost index speed, where we were due to arrive with 2.9 tons of fuel on board, we now arrive with 2.8. That's 100 kilos less fuel for flying faster, but you only save a couple of minutes time with it. Not too much. And that is a very good reason for Ryanair not to fly faster. So they just say, yeah, just save that fuel, save that money, we don't care about those couple minutes of delay that you might get. Alright, so that's just a little bit of theory there that we run while we're climbing up to cruising level, and that we think about when thinking about, well, how you can make something up. Now, I do have to say though that Ryanair doesn't need to count the minutes on the arrival anyway. If you're flying for an airline that has connecting passengers to other flights, then a 10-minute earlier arrival might make the difference between the passengers catching their connecting flight or missing it. Especially when you're doing long haul, so when you're paying huge compensations for passenger delays, then it might very quickly start to become important. Also, it's just shifted over 0.76. We don't want to do that. We're gonna want to go 7.9. So let's quickly go back to flying unindicated here. So, the big difference between the kind of operation that Ryanair is doing compared to what large network carriers are doing is that Ryanair doesn't have connecting flights. And that means if a flight arrives delayed, doesn't matter. As long as it is not 3 hours of delay, so as long as the airline doesn't have to pay compensation to passengers, it doesn't really matter if you're late. On the other hand side, if you're flying an airline that has passengers that have connecting flights, and you pay compensation if they miss the connecting flights and thereby gain 3 hours delay, then it might make sense to waste a ton of fuel only to arrive like 10 minutes earlier at your destination. So that is the reason why you often see large network carriers really flying fast. I mean, I've seen A330s fly across the Atlantic at flight level 300 just so that they could achieve the highest true airspeed possible. Now that is something that you would probably not see, for example, a low coster like Ryanair doing, because it's gonna burn like 4 or 5 tons of extra fuel. However, if you take into account that a single passenger missing their connection flight and thereby arriving more than 3 hours delayed at their final destination, that's gonna cost the airline 600 euros in compensation. And that's a huge difference. Plus, when you are due to arrive rather late, the last flight of the day might be gone for the passenger, so he might even have to get a hotel. So the cost really adds up, and then it makes a lot of sense to just fly a little bit quicker and burn that extra fuel. It might cost you a couple thousand euros additional to operate the flight, but it is going to save you those compensations from the passenger missing the connection. So that's just a little bit of theory going into all the decisions on how fast to fly, how high to fly, and so on. So that's yeah, that's the kind of thought that go into this. Now, small difference there between the 7.3 and the A330. On the 7.3, the optimum level up here is purely based on the temperature, the airplane weight, and the speed that you're flying. On the A330, it takes winds into account as well. Now, if we look into the wind forecast over here, you can see in the 737 you've only got a single entry that you can make over there, while on the A330 you can uplink 4 different levels. Now, first of all, you would have to care about that stuff. On long haul it matters, on short haul it doesn't. For that reason, I don't have to care about it. I didn't enter anything there. And by the way, we passed through level 300, so angular bank 10 degrees. Alright, the A330 would take stuff like the wind and everything in account as well on the optimum level, so if we follow the optimum on the A330, then we're basically flying the most optimal level. On the 737, wind is not taken into account. For that reason, the 737 is only going to go as the aerodynamically most efficient level, but not necessarily the economically most efficient, due to the differences in wind. Now, on the larger Boeings, in case you're wondering, there is a recommended flight level as well. So on the larger ones, like the 777, the 747 and so on, you not only have optimum and maximum, but you have recommended next to that, and the recommended takes into account the wind as well. So, small difference that actually comes in very handy when you are flying those aircraft. Okay, so that's pretty much the theory that goes into these kind of flights. Something else that does matter, by the way, watch the true airspeed as we're climbing. It is slowly going to decrease. Compared to that, the true airspeed for a given Mach number is best around flight level 300. Now, if you want to fly really fast, then your optimum flight level is going to be around 300. Unless the wind is much better at higher levels, of course. But as you can see over here, now our TAS has decreased 465. Well, we're still flying the same Mach number. So, that kind of makes part of the difference as well. Okay, so much for the theory that so much for the theory there. Now Jada is asking in the comments, I'm talking about A330 taking winds into account. Is it Airbus in general or just wide bodies? Well, I haven't flown an A320, so I'm not 100% sure, but I would expect that the 320 would do the same thing. Ben Kevin, nice to see you here in the chat. Hello from Texas. Well, hello from Germany. And SJT, who to contact to fix Asobo 787? Microsoft. The model is done by Microsoft, but honestly I tell you, I highly doubt that they're going to do any changes to the 3D model. And SoCal Gaming, hi, nice to see you. So good to see you getting back to the roots. Yeah, it felt a little bit strange at first, but I see how I'm getting back into. I see how I'm getting back into it as well.
070,
And ArcVis design, yeah, as John said, like, your question, hi, is MSFS 2024 going to have the same 3D engine? And what's the purpose to release such a quick version? Well, the first question I can't answer, by the way, 1000 to go. The first part of the question I cannot answer, the second part I can. It's been 4 years ever since they last released the it's been 4 years since they released Microsoft Flight Simulator, so I can totally understand that they want to earn a little bit more money and thereby release a new version like FS 2024. It does make sense if you ask me. Vertical speed. Alright then, let's quickly level off. And then we are quickly going to run through the Topper climb tracks, and after that we'll continue. Okay, I'll hold VNAV, and here we are. Conset. Okay then, very quick check. 4.4 tons on board. 1.2 used makes 6.6, so our fuel is looking good. Then let's have a very quick look at Elzan. We expect to be there at 11, so that is another 13 minutes, so 33 minutes into the flight, 3.9 tons of fuel on board. So let's have a very quick look into Zimbri to once again cross-check our fuel. So here we go. Elzan should be 35 minutes, so we saved 2. Makes sense since we flew faster though. We should have 3.5 tons of fuel on board, and we're estimating to have 3.9 tons of fuel on board. So we can say that we burned 200 kilograms of the additional that we took, but that is somewhat expected, isn't it? Okay, cool. Last thing for us to check is the next FIR boundary. That is going to be at Vaxit. So, see that over here. Next boundary is going to be over at Vaxit, so let's go ahead and mark that on the navigation display.
7 Alpha, below on the PFD, below the speed.
And here we go.
There's a number that starts with a dot. What?
Mark 74.
Alright, so
Mark point.
with that we are pretty much done.
7 Alpha, Roger, when able, fly Mach decimal 7.
And can continue like that. Alright, so
Charlie Hotel, Mach decimal
we made it all the way up.
Shuttle 7 Juliet on conversion.
So, John Sleeper, great tailwind. Indeed it is. Okay, so Koka, do you have an idea why my PMDG doesn't do the callouts on takeoff? I set them to on in the FMC. Well, that would kinda suggest to me that maybe there is a problem with all the custom sounds. Like, generally if they're turned on, they should be working. I mean, maybe check your Maxar Flight Simulator settings, make sure that in there everything is as it is supposed to be, and that should do it. John Sleeper, I had a 140 knot tailwind on a transatlantic flight. That's quite nice. Well, my record in the 737 on almost this very route over here, my record is 167 knot tailwind, and with that we made the 600 knots ground speed. That was quite nice. And the pilot, does the PMDG 737 have a custom sound pack? Well, I'm not 100% sure what you mean with that, but yeah, obviously all the sounds have been recorded by PMDG themselves. So there's that. Also, there is a question from a little bit earlier in the live stream from Vuitoy. That's a little bit deviating from the 737 right now, but I am going to answer that real quick. That's in terms of the GTN 750 for the TBM 850. Which GTN add-on, aka TDS or PMS, do you use? And why do you use it? Well, I'm using the TDS. The reason for that is that I prefer to have the actual Garmin trainer run in the background compared to the PMS 50 version of the GTN, which runs on a self-made version and is rather limited in terms of its features. The downside of the TDS is that you cannot update your nav database and that you don't have access to Navigraph charts. However, in terms of Navigraph charts, well, a friend of mine flies a real GTN, so I just stuck an SD card in there and downloaded the actual AIP charts, and that is what I'm using in my sim now. Unfortunately, for copyright reasons, obviously I cannot share them, but that is how I kind of updated it somewhat. But I do agree, updating the IRAC is a bit of a problem there with the GTN.
337, contact Copenhagen 126, decimal 05.
Okay, so that's basically the reason behind it, and I do agree with you, it actually is a good idea for a future video.
Then,
Jivu2 ELJ26. Wow, that's a username, hard to pronounce, sorry for that. How come I almost never see you program the cutback option for noise abatement? How do you actually program that? So the cutback basically is something my former airline did never use. Indeed, I'm not aware of any European carrier that would be using the takeoff cutback. Mostly because, well, we've got to establish noise abatement procedures here with the procedures 1 and 2, and we don't need anything additional. I believe there is only 2 airports where the cutback is regularly used, one of them being John Wayne Airport over in the US. I am currently researching that one, and I do plan to do a video on it, but since my airline never used it, I don't have any documentation on it, and that means that before I do a video on the topic, I want to be sure that I have sufficient accurate documentation. So, for that reason, I basically never use it, but I will have a video on the topic. Well, can't say when, but it's gonna be at some point soon. And Sir Kelt Gaming, I love your Airbus shots. Well, thanks, but just noticed the latest one I uploaded today is still of the 737 days. I actually have a lot of videos from back in the day that I just could never release because I would have lost my job over it, but now that I'm no longer flying it, you know, I'm thinking that gradually I can upload them one by one, and I actually have a lot of them.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee, contact Scottish 135.530.
135.530, Ryanair 8 Yankee, see ya.
ED-72 Charlie Hotel, report your MAC number to London 135.580.
Scottish, good evening, Ryanair 8 Yankee, level 350 in Mount Elsan.
Ryanair 8 Yankee, Scottish, good afternoon.
So, let's have a very quick look at the time. We're going to be landing at 16:56. That means we got 3 hours remaining for the event after we land, and the flight is going to take roughly 2 hours. So I think we should be fine just flying these speeds and flying everything the way we do it right now. I don't think we need to overly accelerate anything, like flying even faster or stuff like that. We should still be able to make it going all the way back to Edinburgh while we still have ATC at the latest in 4 hours from now. So the pilot is asking, how do you program a VOR radial intercept on the FMC? In the 737 you cannot. The only thing you can is to program a certain inbound course, and then LNAV can intercept that. However, the airplane can not really program like intercepting radial outbound. So if I would have to do that, I think I only had to do it like a couple times. Over at Gran Canaria they like to give you that. So let's take an example. We've got Echo Kilo Oscar DME down here. Let's just take that for a second. So let's say we've got Echo Kilo Oscar, and then they want us to leave that outbound on... let's say they want you to leave that outbound on radial 180. Then what I would do is this. I take Echo Kilo Oscar 180/20 miles or something like that. And now I've basically programmed an outbound on a 180 radial from Echo Kilo Oscar. And now the airplane would be capable of flying that. However, you cannot program it open-end, so if they just say fly radial 180 outbound Echo Kilo Oscar, then, well, you can always insert something like with a couple 100 miles or so. But the easier option, and the one that I always went for in Gran Canaria when I had to do something like that, is just program the frequency, set the course, and then use the VORLOG button in order to fly that. It's easier when you have to fly something inbound, so let's erase that for a second. Let's say that we had to go to Echo Kilo Oscar now on a, let's say, radial 360 inbound. Then you can always use Echo Kilo Oscar and then set the inbound course. Now, radial 360 inbound means a course of 180. And if I would execute this, well, let me do that for a second. Heading select. So if I did this now, and if I now armed LNAV, then the plane would now intercept the radial inbound. You can see that it's already drawn the route that it is going to fly down here. So that is how the airplane would do this stuff. But that only works when flying inbound, not when flying outbound. Okay, so let's set LZAN active once again so that we get, so that we do fly this correctly.
Golf Mike Tango, Linda 090 degrees at 4 knots, QH102 Equinox.
And CJ simulations, did I fly Echo India Rex or just 9 hotels? I flew both of them. And Mark Boyley, hi Emmy, will you be doing a proper tutorial when the PMDG 777 comes out? I absolutely will. I absolutely will.
8486 November descent, flight level 70.
And Gabriele Korocha, any suggestions for becoming a pilot? I'm scared of the medical visit. Well, the medical is something that you can only influence so much, so what I would recommend you to do is that you simply do a little bit of sports. Oh, Ryanair 8 Yankee, sorry, go ahead.
Ryanair 8 Yankee, contact Copenhagen 126.050,
126.020, you said? Ryanair 8 Yankee?
050.
050, Ryanair 8 Yankee, thanks.
Yankee, good day.
Good day. 9947, descent flight level 250.
Copenhagen, good afternoon, Ryanair 8 Yankee, flight level 350 in Elsan.
Ryanair 8 Yankee, Copenhagen, so welcome. You can proceed direct testing.
Direct testing, Ryanair 8 Yankee, thanks.
And there's Yankee expert coming for WP.
Hey, Chess P. That looks good. Execute, LNAV available, LNAV.
That's the Yankee X-ray. You are identified to proceed direct LT.
So, let's just see. Fuel check near Elzon, that should be... Let's put that abeam. Just as a reminder. In terms of fuel checks, the Airbus is so much nicer to handle than the Boeing, but, well, I do suppose those procedures are going to work. And Robin, is the 777 coming this year? Unfortunately, I am not allowed to answer on that. If I do know anything, then I cannot say it. So, Big Mac has been asking a little bit earlier, any pros or cons of long haul versus short haul? Yes, indeed. So, long haul versus short haul. There is one great misconception, that is that flying short haul would mean not working for such a long time. Indeed, it's the opposite way around. You know, on the 737, you'd fly Edinburgh to Copenhagen and back. That is like 5 hours of duty time. And then you would just do another 2 flights. So, we can quickly have a look into that, by the way. Looking at Flight Radar 24, so how about we do that real quick. So currently we are flying the FR2674. So let's have a very quick look at Flight Radar for FR2674. Here we go. So it was last flown by Echo India Hotel Kilo. Let's have a look at that. So if you look at this, then you can see that the crew has started at 0505 UTC, and I'm pretty sure it was the same crew all the way till here. 1525 UTC. So that's 10 hours and 20 minutes of sitting in the airplane. Now, my next flight is going to take me to Africa, and that is going to be as well 10 hours of sitting in the airplane. Just with the difference that if you're flying short haul, there is 4 chances on that day that something is creeping up your back, and you're going to end up with a huge delay. If you're doing long haul, there is just a single chance. So that's one of the great differences. Now, it's also much more relaxed to fly long haul because, well, once you're in the air, you're mainly executing monitoring duties, and it leaves you with more time to sit back and relax a little bit. Doing a flight like this, we're almost reaching 80 miles to the top of descent, so that means that very shortly we will have to start preparing for the approach. And then the approach, the turnaround, the departure is going to be a lot of extra work. Now, personally, I just prefer the long haul style these days, because it means that we can do things a little bit more relaxed. Let's just call it that way. And yours 182, what is the maximum allowable duty time in one day? Now that depends on the time when you start to work, So if you start your work at 3 AM, it's going to be less than if you start at, let's say, 1 PM. And it depends on the amount of sectors that you're going to fly. If you start at a normal time, let's say you start your late shift at 1 PM, then and you're scheduled to do 2 flights, then you can do 12 hours of duty time. Actually 13 hours. If you do 4 sectors, you can do 12 hours of duty time. And so on. And that gradually reduces depending on the amount of sectors that you are going to fly. So that's basically the important thing to take into account there. And Coca Mocha, did I also fly the Golf Rex or Ryanair UK? And did you fly with a Blue Max call sign? So I did not fly any of the British registered aircraft, but I never flew the Blue Max call sign because Malta Air uses the Ryanair call sign. Even though technically speaking in the AOC there is a call sign assigned for Malta Air, you never use that. You always fly Ryanair call sign in the Ryanair group. And Gabriele, spotted you in IVAO. I'm the 787X going Green Cape. Well, I doubt it because I'm flying on VATSIM, not on IVAO. But that's probably what you meant anyway. Okay, 120 miles to run. We gotta make a decision, gentlemen. So, for now, in the FMC I've got runway 04 right, because it makes for a shorter taxi. However, 04 left is the standard landing runway that they use. What do you guys think? Are we going to be able to request runway 04 right, or are we gonna get runway 04 left? In real life, when I flew to Copenhagen, I always requested 04 right, and I almost always got it. I think I landed on 4 left only a few times, while I landed on 04 right plenty of times. Stopped counting at one point. Okay, we're about to pass a beam exit, so let's just run a quick fuel check over here. Okay. Almost a beam in now, so we have 40 minutes in the air, 3.7 tons of fuel on board. And if we have a very quick look into SimBrief, then let's see, Vaxit 40 minutes, so we're running on time, should have 3.3. We have got 3.7, so yeah, we used a little bit extra fuel, but that is expectable since we are flying a lot faster than what we are supposed to fly. Okay then, cool. So that's that. Another thing to take into account for the Ryanair SOP, before we go about the runway, another thing to take into account for the Ryanair SOP here, flying in VATSIM, is that, as you can see, the descent speed target is 245 knots. And I am fairly certain they are going to be rather unhappy with us flying that speed. On the other hand side though, we are flying a little bit faster anyway already, so I might just about change the speed as well. Give that like 300 knots. Like so. And now we should be good to go. That should be a little bit less disturbing to the other aircraft that are flying on this route, because the normal VATSIM pilot always flies the red line, so they are going like 350, 360 knots depending on the airplane type in question. So yeah, it might be just about a good idea here to increase our speed as well. In real life, you would not do that in Ryanair. The only reason you increase the descent speed is either ATC asks you, or because you've missed the top of descent and get to descent later. Then you can increase the target speed in order to get back on a profile. I've done a video on that topic if you're interested, so that you can watch that up at any moment you're interested. Well, in any case, let's go ahead with a little bit of arrival preparation. So let's go ahead and grab our Navigraph charts. Which takes a little moment to load up, but once they're there, here we go. Okay, here we go, and then let's just take the charts for both arrivals, 4 left and 4 right. And in terms for taxi, we'll need a little bit more than that. Let's take the parking stand charts as well, and that should be good to go. Okay, so this is how we're gonna start. On the test P arrival, let's have a very quick look over that route, make sure that we have everything we need. So, test P, Ronzi, Trano, 750 below level 130, and that looks pretty much like what we're supposed to have. So, runway 4 left or runway 4 right, that's the big question. And Dobby, from the direction you're coming from, you will get 4 left. Yeah, well, I want to request 4 right. Actually, the direction that you come from doesn't really matter too much. Because they always use 4 left as landing runway and 4 right as takeoff runway. But normally they try to fiddle you in on 4 right, at least in real life they do. Not sure what they're gonna do in VATSIM. I suppose we're just going to prepare runway 4 right, and if the approach tells us that they're unable to give us 4 left, then we can still change it around. Okay then, 10 miles, no more than 180 knots. Like so. And for missed approach, let's have a look into that. Climb straight at 3000, inform ATC. Perfect, that's what we have. Can we put 3000 in here? No, okay. Also be it. We're gonna start with this. It's 250 knots. And in Denmark, technically speaking, it's 250 knots below flight level 70. However, the company will demand us to fly 250 below 100, and for that reason, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so that looks good. Transition level, I'll tell you what, let's grab an ATIS, 122750.
Other station calling, what's that? Scandinavian 433.
Negative, Scandinavian 53 November.
Roger, Scandinavian 53 November. Go ahead.
We have to step away from traffic for
Scandinavian 53 November. Approved. We come back. Scandinavian 433 contact. Closing taking 1212. This is a 5
Copenhagen 11375, Scandinavian 435.
2NH1013. New start in effect with error 2211. Make sure you have updated your database.
Copenhagen, good evening. It's all to a Foxtrot, flight level 39.
Contact but take left continue taxi via an outer. At first contact with approach.
Lost it, welcome.
This is
Midland, 6 to the Foxtrot. It's within a right of
initial contact. You have information.
Midland, 6 to the Foxtrot.
Okay, so we've got ATIS information Lima. And,
46 miles.
well, runway 4 left, they say on the ATIS, but that's as expected. But as said, normally, in real life at least, when you ask them, then you can get 04 right. And the taxi is just much shorter. If you look at that, we're parking up here. So if you get runway 04 right, you vacate with Victor 2, and then you're straight at the terminal. If you get 04 left, you vacate over here, you got to cross a runway, then you got to taxi in all the way here, so that really eats up like 5-6 minutes extra. For that reason, I'm going to request runway 04 right. Okay then, let's smash in a little bit of wind data there. So 4310, we've got 295 at 106. Then level 200 is 292 at 93.
Midland 6 Kilo Foxtrot, and that is you identified.
And 100 is 304 at 33. Like that. Okay then, according to the ATIS that we just listened to, the QNH is 1013. Execute that, and then on the fixed page, runway 04 right, and the weather is certainly VMC. So it's an overcast flight level 120, certainly VMC. So let's draw a 105 mile ring, 10 mile ring, and a 4 mile ring. Okay, perfect. So that is that. Going ahead with the approach setup then, 037 on the courses.
So hello guys, it's fine. Stop sign and please choose.
Set once and twice, 109.3. And 109.3 in here as well. We can tube Castro VOR 12.5, however it's really not going to make much of a difference here. Approach minima, category Charlie is 212. Now the Ryanair aircraft are actually category Charlie aircraft, because Ryanair has limited the maximum landing weight to 65,317 kilograms, and that leaves the highest VREF for a flap 40 landing at max landing weight below 141 knots. For that reason, those Ryanair aircraft are Cat Charlie aircraft, while for example most holiday carriers have the higher landing weight at 66 and a bit, and that makes them a category Delta aircraft. Just something to have in mind as you're flying those Ryanair things over here. Okay, in any case, they've got reduced runway separation procedures in use, so two things to consider. If we take runway 4 right, we're just going to use auto brakes 1, and we're going to vacate at Victor 2. I'll tell you what, actually we can leave the auto brake off completely if we're landing on 04 right, and then vacate Victor 2. If we're landing on 04 left, then we need to vacate latest Alpha 5, otherwise ATC is going to be unhappy. We might even have to do Alpha 6, and if that happens we're going to use auto brakes 2. Just so that we minimize the runway occupancy time. Okay, cool. So that is pretty much our setup completed. So now we can go ahead and start the approach briefing. Threats for the arrival, well, last minute runway change is certainly a possibility over here. If that happens, well, we'll just keep the airplane autopilot and we are going to... Right, 8 Yankee Yankee when ready, descend level 250. Set. That's 25,000 checked. Okay, cool. So, let's start the briefing again. So, threats for the arrival, last minute runway change. If that happens, we are simply going to keep the autopilot on and do our setup again, and in the worst case we'll have to ask for some delay vectors, however I don't really see that happening. Apart from that, complicated taxi in is also a threat, so we are going to run things slowly and we are going to run the... and if there's any doubt about the position, we're just going to stop the airplane and confirm the position before we continue taxi. Okay, so that is... that's really mostly it. Okay then, so let's continue in here. Speed is 250 below 100, 300 knots in here. Forecast page is filled out. Fixed rings runway 04 right, 10 miles and 4 miles. For the approach itself, we are going to fly the... where is it? Up here it is. The Tespi 3 Alpha arrival. That's Tespi, Rosby, Trano, maximum 250 knots. Then on to waypoint 750, below level 130, 742, 734, 727, Ekpuk at 220 knots and below 4,000 feet. And thereafter continue on the present track and we'll get a radar vector from air traffic control towards the final. Alright, let's approach runway 04 right, starting at 9.2 DME, and that is the Charlie India point, 3,000 feet. We've got a 3-degree glide slope, and at 6 miles we're gonna check 2,000 feet, that's the Fox India point in here, and we're going down to a minimum of 212 feet that we have selected. And if we see the runway, disconnect and land. If we don't see the runway, it's gonna be a missed approach on the runway track to 3,000 feet and inform air traffic control. Okay, fuel on arrival 2.8, minimum is 2.2 for Malmö. That gives us 600 kilos or 15 minutes extra. We're going to burn 400. That's a landing weight of 61.3. We're going to do a flap 30 landing over here, and as discussed earlier, the auto brake is going to stay off for runway 04 right, or level 2, runway 04 left. Okay then. course is 037, frequency is 109.3. That stuff is all in, and that is that. We're gonna vacate the runway to the left side in either case, either Alpha 6, Alpha 5, or on 04 right, Victor 2, and then straight to the terminal. Parking is going to be somewhere on the Foxtrot stands between Fox 1 and Fox 9. Any of those is going to go. Okay, any questions on the briefing? No? Very good. Then I... 121.375, Ryanair 8 Yankee, bye.
No, how much any phone for other times? 8525 Kilo Foxtrot, descend flight level 160, direct hard on Tango 9 Foxtrot. Event 433, contact Copenhagen Airport, 3119 at this way. Bye.
Roach, I'm 119, decimal 8, anything 433, bye.
Copenhagen, good evening, Ryanair 8 Yankee, level 350, cleared when ready, level 250, inbound, test speed.
Hello, Ryanair 8 Yankee, Copenhagen Control, identified. You are cleared to 3 Alpha arrival, runway 04 left.
Test speed 3 Alpha, arrival 04 left. Is there any chance to request 04 right, Ryanair 8 Yankee?
Ryanair 8 Yankee, on a standby short, correct.
Thanks. That's exactly how we would do it in real life as well. Okay, so, let's quickly talk to the passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, very good evening from Flight Deck. This is your captain speaking. We are about to leave our cruising altitude and start our descent towards Copenhagen with a remaining flight time of approximately 25 minutes. Weather in Copenhagen is looking rather good. The sky is a little bit cloudy, however, it is mostly fair weather with a temperature at the moment of 12 degrees. Would like to thank you very much for choosing Ryanair for today's flight. Hope that you've enjoyed it as much as we did. We look forward to welcoming you again on board of the future scheduled service. In the meantime, thank you for your attention, and I see you all again on the next one. Okay, that's the passengers dealt with, so let's go ahead with the descent checklist. Pressurization, landing altitude 0, anti-ice, off, approach brief and fuel, discussed, IS and altitude bugs. So that's flap 30, VRF 144, minimums 212.
TSP3 Alpha, expect 1 to 4 right.
TSP3 Alpha 04 right, Ryanair 8 Yankee, and we're leaving level 350 now. Okay, very good, 04 right. Very nice. Exactly as they would do it in real life. Okay, the aviator asking a very delicate question there. Good day to you, sir. I would like to know, in your opinion, which 737 feels the closest to flying the real thing, the CBO or the PMDG, and why? Okay, so, well, I'll start with your very direct question as you've written it. Which one feels closest in terms of flying to the real airplane? And that would be the CBO. Because the engine in X-Plane just makes for much better possibilities than the one in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So in terms of the actual feeling of flight, the CBO is closer to the real one than the PMDG. Now, if I understand your question a little bit broader and not only think about the actual Ryanair 8 Yankee 280 or greater. Okay, that's what we're doing anyway. Okay, so if I take your question a little bit broader and think about the overall immersion of flying the add-on, then in my opinion PMDG wins. Why is that? Well, first of all, the PMDG systems are a little bit more, they're a little bit harder to break. Like, with the CBO, if I really go mad at it and start doing some stuff, then I can easily break the CBO. On the PMDG, it's quite a bit harder. The background is running a little bit sturdier, if you know what I mean. Then there's the graphics. I don't think we need to argue that the PMDG just looks better than the CBO, which in my opinion makes which in my opinion has a great impact on the overall immersion of the simulation. Also, in terms of options, the PMDG got a couple more than Cibo, even though Cibo also got a couple nice ones that I would love the PMDG to have, like the fans MCDU, for example, or the common versus basic VNAV thing. But that's just a couple things that I'd like to see changed in the PMDG that the Cibo has. On the other hand side, PMDG got quite a couple of options that Cibo doesn't have, so you get it. It's going left and right, and in terms of options, some may prefer this, others may prefer that. In terms of sounds, in my opinion, PMDG wins it. In my opinion, the PMDG sound set feels a little bit more complete, feels a little bit more immersive. What else do we have? Well, we talked about the flight model, we talked about the systems, the graphics, the sounds. Something that the Cibo obviously excels at is the cabin crew simulation. So, the cabin crew simulation of the Cibo certainly is something that PMDG doesn't have. But overall, in my opinion, PMDG still wins it over the Cibo. However, that does not mean the Cibo is a bad airplane. Quite the opposite, indeed. The Cibo is a very good airplane, and taking into account that it is freeware, Cibo is just very, very good. Vertical speed.
Ryanair 8 Yankee descent flight level 130.
Ryanair 8 Yankee descent flight level 130.
Witness for my uniform descent
Okay, set.
130.
13,000 checked. And we're back in VNAV. And Coyote. Cibo just updated their graphics, but PMDG is a bit better. PMDG needs to get the EFB out. Yeah, fully agree on the EFB part. And on the graphics as well. And Max11 Well 001. Hello, I'm starting flight school in 2 weeks. Do you have any tips? Yeah, most importantly, look forward to it, anticipate it, enjoy it. That's the most important thing. Keep studying, and start clicking some theory questions already during the theory lessons, and don't just start with the question banks after your theory lessons are over. It's probably most important, actually. Okay, speed line. On a 10-hour flight, how do you lock the time for the logbook for PF, PM or Captain FO? So basically you just log the entire flight. In terms of when you're flying as cruise relief pilot, then you can obviously split the time between FO and peak hours if you were on the left seat during the flight. Air Viper, what is your favorite airport to fly to? Good question. Probably Punta Cana now, because in Punta Cana, you know, there's not that much traffic. It's a totally awesome scenery around, and you can do visual approaches from like 30 miles opposite side. Meaning you can fly a 200-ton A330, well, more like 165 tons on landing, A330, flight directors off, visual approach. You can fly for like 20 minutes like a Cessna. That's just amazing. And obviously when you fly to Punta Cana, you always have some longer layovers, like 3 or 4 days. And that is definitely not a wrong thing, or not a wrong place to be in the Dominican Republic. Okay, engine NTIs on.
Contact 126.050. Thank you for your distance at 11.
Ryanair 8 Yankee, maintain speed 280 knots.
Ryanair 8 Yankee, speed 280 exactly. Okay.
It's the Yankee on conversion speed 270.
So 280. Execute that.
Copenhagen control, good afternoon, Airport 351.
And I suppose when he says maintain that, he wants us to maintain it out of Trano as well, so let's delete this.
Say again, Airport 351.
Airport 351, you're at France, clear to chase speed 3, Alpha arrival, runway 04.
Okay, flying a little bit faster than usual, so let's just turn the seatbelt signs on a bit earlier, and there. Did I actually forget to turn the seatbelt signs off for the entire flight?
Runway 0 front left, approach.
Oh well, doesn't matter. They're standing up whenever they want anyway.
391 FM, Monarch 3 Alpha right.
Okay, let's use a little bit of speed brake there to get us down onto the 280 knots. When ATC emphasizes that they want 280 exactly already, then...
Yankee contacted all 3119 approximately
9.8 Ryanair 8 Yankee, see ya.
Overall control, evening, sky level 98, flight level 19.
Copenhagen, good evening, Ryanair 8 Yankee, level 1780, descending 130, speed 280, information Lima.
Ryanair 8 Yankee, Copenhagen, go security, United 5. Information Mike is now currently expecting the silence from this morning.
Ryanair 8 Yankee, we'll check information Mike, and we had coordinated 04 right earlier. Any chance to get that, or do we need to change to 04 left?
8 Yankee, yes, that is absolutely me. That didn't look properly on the scope here. You can expect back to silence 04 right.
Vector silence 04 right, Ryanair 8 Yankee, thank you. Okay, perfect. So it starts getting a little bit dark down here in the clouds. Let's turn a little bit of that background lighting on. That just sets the ambience, doesn't it? Really like it. And just adding a bit of thrust just to make sure that we actually maintain the 280 as we should. The guy behind us got a 270 restriction, so I suppose he's rather close. So let's just maintain that speed. Precisely. Okay, next up 1202.
120.2, call side only 433, thanks, bye.
Speed looks good now. I'll just confirm that we don't slow down ahead of Trano. Ryanair 8 Yankee, confirm we maintain 280 knots past Trano.
8 Yankee, affirm, maintain 5 speed off 270.
Maintaining 280 until notice, Ryanair 8 Yankee. Okay, perfect. So now every possible question is settled with ATC. Okay then, passing 15. Cycling the seatbelt sign so that the cabin crew knows it's 15 minutes to landing now. Okay, approaching 1 to go. Vertical speed. Okay, 10 degrees, anti-ice off. So guys, we're getting rather close to the approach now. That means I am going to stop answering questions for now, but please do keep them in mind. I will answer them after our, well, either after the landing or before or after the next departure, because the return flight is going to be quite a bit longer, as we'll have that very same wind, only as a headwind then. So the return is going to be like 1 hour 45, leaving us quite a bit more time to answer your questions over there.
Heading 200, Scandinavian from a Patron.
Okay, so we're getting a little bit high above the VNAV profile over there, but don't worry about that. If ATC wouldn't anticipate that we'd go straight in, they would probably clear us down already, so we don't have to worry about that for now. Ryanair 8 Yankee, speed 250. So the TAT might drop a little bit and we might have to turn anti-ice on again. Let's see if that's gonna happen. But I do somewhat expect it. In real life I would have turned the anti-ice on now already. Yep, here we go. Because whenever you are entering a cloud, it is actually getting colder. I'll flick the dome light on dim over here. In real life you wouldn't see any of that, but in the simulator it kind of makes it easier to see everything in the cockpit.
information might be
And in real life you can certainly see more in the cockpit than you could in the sim when it's dark and the lights are off.
Charlie, descent 4,000 feet, journey 1014.
35,000 kilometers 101 to the Davis Thrustmaster.
Man, this looks neat. This looks really neat, doesn't it? Note how the top of the seats in yellow is painted in the livery as well. Like those RYANAIR cabins, where you've got the yellow seats at the top. And the blue in the bottom. RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, left heading 070. Heading select. Okay, so kinda as expected, they're giving us a little delay vector here. That is not too surprising. They might probably be rather busy. Seeing the number of aircraft that were departing Edinburgh, I wouldn't be surprised if they have the same amount of arrivals here in Copenhagen right now. Okay, not sure if we are going to enter any cloud over there again, so I'm just going to keep the anti-ice on for now. Even though it does look to me like we will stay clear, but hard to say. Might be cloud over here.
777 Charlie, fly heading 220.
22 Throttle, 5 Summit Charlie forward.
By 25 Kilo Foxtrot, turn right heading 220.
Right, yeah,
Red nose for Mike uniform speed 250.
Red nose for Mike uniform, reducing speed 250.
So, dimming it all down, just to get it to nice ambience here. Then the FO can go on the VSD already.
Charlie, contact final.
All the pilot monitoring, I should say.
One test Throttle, swap 2, cross final is for the front Charlie chip.
Approach, g'day, up 383 Yankee, inbound Toronto, descending flight level 130, speed 260.
Set 383 Yankee, approach hello, identified information, Mike, expect vector, solid, runway 0, follow.
Okay, so now it's just a little bit of waiting there.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, descent flight level 80, speed 220.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, descent flight level 80, speed 220.
Attack 6 Sierra X-ray, descent flight level 70, speed 220.
Okay, set, 8000 checked, level change. Updating the route every now and then is going to update your VNAV profile as well. However, right now we are really just following ATC instructions. I don't anticipate that we are going to need VNAV again on this flight. Please note this one, we'll have to see what's going to come next. Okay, temperature 7, entering clouds.
25 Kilo Foxtrot, resume on navigation, direct airhook.
Maybe a little bit of AFDS floodlighting as well.
RYANAIR 8
looks
Yankee
nice.
Yankee, turn right heading 220.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, turn right heading 220. Okay, that's got to be the downwind vector.
Red nose for Mike uniform, descent flight level 80.
I'll just draw an extended center line now. At RYANAIR we didn't really do that, but it really became an hour's habit.
Resume on navigation, direct airhook.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, please spell the waypoint.
Airhook, that's Echo Romeo Papa Uniform Kilo.
Echo Romeo Papa Uniform Kilo, RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee. Of course, exactly the moment you take it out. And my simulator is frozen.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, descent 4000 feet, QNH 1014.
RYANAIR 8 Yankee Yankee, descend 4000 to QNH 1014. Just to advise, our simulator is frozen right now. How close is the next airplane?
He's 8 miles behind.
Roger, let us know if he comes within 5 and we'll disconnect.
Yep.
No, looks like the entire simulator froze up. Come on. It worked so nicely over the past couple of weeks. Ever since the 787 stream.
With nose 1123, descending to 13.
But that looks like it has frozen up.
Rednose 1123, approach
Come
below
on.
identified information.
Please.
Mike, expect vector silence runway 04 left.
Vectors for 04 left.
It's always the same with a simulator, isn't it?
Rednose for Mike uniform, turn right heading 130.
For my uniform, right turn heading 130.
No, Coca Marker out of 4 does not do the trick.
QNH 1014.
For my uniform, sending altitude 4000 feet, QNH 1014.
Sub 33 Yankees, reduce speed 220 knots.
3220 is up 383 Yankees.
Okay, well, that looks like, So, MHM Meow, I just tried your trick. Unfortunately, the sim still doesn't respond.
Nordic 972, approach hello, identified. Mike, correct, expect vector silence runway 04 left.
And going through the task manager right now.
Rednose for Mike uniform.
Yeah, now vPilot disconnected me from that sim because it sensed that the simulator is frozen. But I'll just keep sitting here for a moment and see if it is going to unfreeze eventually. But it happened exactly at the moment where I entered airbook on the legs page, so I do kinda assume that it is the 737 that's caused it to freeze. That is kinda what I'm expecting here. Yeah, we'll just see and sit here for a little moment, see maybe it is going to recover, even though I somewhat doubt it. But in case it crashes, we'll just in case it crashes, we are simply going to respawn at the we're simply going to respawn at the airport and then see what we're gonna do. And Coyote, disconnect VATSIM. That's what I've just done. And Pamir Nasrat, that's an interesting question. Does the plane ever freeze in real life? Actually, it does. I've had like 10 dual FMC failures now. And the dual FMC failure is what happens when something in the software locks up, pretty much like what has happened right here. And then it would simply lock up and the FMCs would totally go blank. And you would lose all the FMC data. And obviously, that if it happens, then it happens right when... if it happens, then it happens right the moment where you need it the most, like on the approach or on an RNAV sit or something like that. So that is actually quite common. Okay, well, doesn't look like it is about to recover, so I suppose that's it. Let's try that graphic respawn trick once more. But it doesn't seem to make a difference. And Anders Christensen happened to me earlier today. Went from Copenhagen to Mallorca and it froze when I just came below flight level 100. And that is about the same position where we are in right now. We are just about at level 100 as well. And no, going into the task manager and back, Maxime didn't help as well, just tried that as well. Okay, so, still frozen, doesn't look like it wants to recover. So, it does seem that, yeah, well. And the Aviator and Yuyo, when that dual FMC failure happens, what you do is you simply revert to selected modes. So, you don't need to fly manually. The autopilot's still working on heading and vertical speed and level change and stuff like that. Only LNAV and VNAV are gone. And you don't need to even manually fly. Well, so, looks like that's pretty much it. Race, do I have any tips for a RYANAIR assessment? Yeah, I did make a video on simulator screenings. Do have a look at that. And, Yeah. Okay. Then duty simulations. Control Alt Delete, then right click MSFS, bring it to the front. Might do something. Control Alt and delete. No, that doesn't do anything over here. We can try Alt Tab, see if we can get back into the sim. No, it doesn't do anything. That thing is locked up. I don't feel it is going to recover again. I think we can pretty safely say this has crashed. Okay, well, so be it. Can't change it. So let's close that simulator down and restart it and do something else. Any suggestions on what you guys want to fly? It's gonna take a little while now that it is going to restart the sim, so we got a couple of minutes to think about what else we might want to fly, since we still have like a little bit of live stream left. And Eric, no, PMDG 777 is certainly not an option. And indeed, the simulator now doesn't even want to close itself. Okay, so Task Manager, here we go. Where is Microsoft Flight Simulator? Doesn't even appear in Task Manager anymore, even though it's still showing on my screen. Lovely. Okay, and task, here we go. Okay, cool. So, I suppose that means we gotta decide on another airplane. So which ones do I have, David? Well, the A310 is not an option, that constantly kills my computer. I'm more thinking like TBM or so, in case anything like that gets interesting. However, I'm feeling we should do a flight of no more than an hour or so, because otherwise it's just getting a little bit too late. In the meantime, let me just restart the simulator and see if we can get to something, but I kinda doubt it. We'll see. We'll see. It always takes a little bit of time. The desktop I've had in the 787 stream. And in the 787, interesting, somebody says they can't hear me? Okay, well, I should still be audible according to what I can see. Guys, can anybody still hear my audio? Okay, Konali says I'm back, so you guys can still hear me? Okay, well then I don't know what just happened. I think I lost the audio the moment that I turned, or the moment that Microsoft Flight Simulator asked me if it should go back in a safe mode or not. So probably that killed something. Oh boy, this lovely simulator. It's starting up at the moment, so we are just about getting there again. Gonna take a little while now though, until it's fully running. You guys know Microsoft Flight Simulator, how long it stays to start up. So, we still got to think about what we're going to do. We could obviously just take the 737 for another flight. Or we could take any of the other aircraft I have, really. I'm going to show you in a moment when it's actually loaded up. But in the meantime, we just got to wait a little bit and stand here and see. Also, let's have a very quick look on VATS and see what's online at the moment. Let's bring up VATSpy to have a look into what is there and what kind of options we have. So that's VATSpy coming up now. Where is it? Or not coming up now. Standby 1. It should have started. Okay, standby. We'll have it in a moment. In any case, I do believe I can see something interesting there. Gatwick is pretty much fully staffed, and so is Brussels. That looks like an interesting route, doesn't it? Gatwick to Brussels. And the Aviator, since you've flown both Airbus and Boeing, I would like to ask you, which do you like most, yoke flying or sidestick flying? Tell you honestly, sidestick. The reason for that is probably less of a yoke against sidestick than the simple fact that there is more space in front of me, and I don't have to worry too much about constantly hitting the yoke when I am running out of constantly hitting the yoke when I'm basically trying to stand up or sit down. That's probably the greatest reason there. Just having more space in front of me that I don't have with the yoke. And Updukat, did I file any complaint or get contacted after what happened at Hanover when I used the TBM? Well, I didn't file an actual complaint because it was a controller exam, and as far as I'm aware, the controller actually failed it. So, looks like the VATSIM guys took the, in my opinion, right decision there. However, what we can talk about is if I got contacted, and indeed some controller contacted me and sent me a couple of questions like, do you feel it's just to reply like, or to say something like that about the controller in Hanover? And honestly, yeah, I do stand by it. I do actually stand by what I said because, well, looks like the checkers got to the same conclusion at the end. And there were a couple of general questions that I got in the chat below the stream that was like, do I think it is okay to talk in general about VATSIM controllers like I did about that Hanover Tower controller? And yes, I do actually think so. Now, let me explain why. Primary reason there is that VATSIM controllers, well, you know, obviously you cannot expect them to be able to do the same thing like real air traffic controllers. But things like sending you back to the gate, or things like complaining that I didn't report a reporting point, while at the same time I just couldn't because the frequency was completely full. You know, then complaining that I didn't report it, yeah, when should I? Should I have interrupted somebody? Well, probably not. And then later on, when he sent me back to the gate just to give me an IFR clearance, I'm like, why? Then having a Cessna on a 4-mile final and not letting anybody out in front, I'm thinking like, yeah, that is basic stuff that you should be able to do. And basically, the main reason why I think it is okay to complain about VATSIM controllers is because there is so much you can expect of them. Certainly not the same that you can expect of real-life air traffic controllers. And that is totally fine. But if I would measure VATSIM against real-life standards, then, you know, I would only be complaining about everyone. No offense taken, I hope. However, there is things like, you know, sitting in the runway for like 10 minutes or so with no departures going on. That is something where I do believe that controllers should be able to do better than that, because obviously they are no professionals, but they're also playing with the time that people are investing, with the time of the VATSIM pilots. And if you're standing at a holding point for 20 minutes for a reason, like for traffic as we had it in Edinburgh when we departed, then that is totally fine. But if you're standing there for, you know, if you're literally standing there for 20 minutes for no reason, then I'm not fine with that, okay? And that is something where I do believe it is fair to complain about a VATSIM controller, because it is people's time after all. Alright then, so now that we've got the simulator back up, let's quickly pick a route that we want to fly. So let's go ahead and pick something. As we said earlier, in VATSIM there's currently ATC on at Gatwick, there's ATC at Brussels, and I do kinda like the idea of flying between those two. So, anybody up for flying between VATSIM and... yeah, VATSIM. Anybody up for a flight from Gatwick to Brussels? I do hope I got Gatwick installed, but it does look like it. I have no idea where RYANAIR is parking, probably somewhere on the outstands here, so let's just about go there. And then do Gatwick to Brussels. Okay, fly. And then let's quickly pull up SimBrief in order to make up a flight plan. Obviously we're leaving the real life things over here. So we're leaving the real ops, but I do suggest this is probably the best thing for us to do. So let's go over here, quickly plan a flight. So it's going to be a RYANAIR flight number, well, I don't care, 1234 from Gatwick towards Brussels. The airplane is obviously going to be 737-800, and I should have some saved over here. Here we go, looks good. Alternate is going to be Charleroi, EBCI. Off-block time, we'll just keep it where it is, and the call sign is going to be Ryanair 12 Fox Uniform. That was my first ever call sign. I like that one. So, Echo India delay, and we're going to go for Ryanair format over here, and 0 fuel weight, give me 58 tons. Okay, so that looks like a good route to me. Let's generate that flight. Okay, and here is our flight done. 47 minutes, that looks good to me. So let's quickly go ahead and pre-file that thing. Pre-file the VATSIM. Gonna take a small while until it's ready. Okay, here we go. Ryanair 12 Fox Uniform, 738. All of that stuff looks good. Throttle 230. Operator is Romeo Yankee Romeo. And the rest of it looks good. File the flight plan, please. Alright, perfect. So that's our flight planned, and then we can go ahead, lock in a VATSIM, and off we go. So let's see if we're gonna get a second freeze. And here we are. Okay. So that does look good to me. Then let's quickly do a little bit of a setup. We're gonna take the airplane in the panel state where it currently is, because this is pretty much a turnaround state. So we're gonna leave it like that. The only thing we'll do real quick, down here, fuel. What did we say? The minimum fuel was 3,400 kilos, okay. Tell you what, let's make it 4,000. And then for the payload, we're gonna take 58 tons. Okay, perfect. So that is our setup completed down here. Maxime, interesting question there. Do your colleagues ever use Microsoft Flight Simulator for practice? Well, yes. A couple of them actually use it to, you know, revise some memory items and stuff like that. But that is really all that it's being used for. Okay, so let's go quick. Echo Golf Kilo Kilo towards Echo Bravo Bravo Romeo, and we are the Romeo Yankee Romeo 12 Fox Uniform. As mentioned, real life call sign, though not for this very route. Okay then, 26 left, Mimfo 1 Mike departure. Like that, route next, and it's gonna be Yankee 312. Like so, towards Delta Victor Romeo, and thereafter Lima 18. And then finally Quebec 70 towards Coxie. Okay then, arrival into Brussels. Probably going to be runway 25 left, I suppose, with the Zulu approach. And then the Coxie 8 Alpha, and I think it's Kirky transition. Let's see real quick. Yep, Kirky. Okay, looks good. Cost index 6, reserves, we've got 1.8. That's the Ryanair company minima. 0 fuel weight is okay, and cruising level 230. Cruise wind 284 at 29. And top of climb eyesight deviation +9, so that's gonna make it -21. Transition altitude 6001 should be correct, and here we go. Okay, looks good. Climb limit is good, all of that looks good, including speed restrictions. And for the engine out, it's gonna be around Gatwick 25-mile range. Okay, very good. Then we can quickly do the rest of the panel setup. So here we go, rest of the panel setup, and David, interesting question there. What is my take on the A320neo? In my opinion, it's a waste of resources. We got the Phoenix, we got the... We got the Phoenix, we got the fly-by-wire. Why would we need another Neo? I mean, it's a waste of resources, isn't it? I mean, I can probably imagine why they're doing it. I suppose there was some kind of contract between Microsoft and Boeing, or rather Airbus, sorry, that they had to produce a higher quality than what they did on the initial release. And then they probably didn't do that until now, and for that reason they have to do it now, regardless of whatever the freeware version is up to. That is kind of what I'm expecting. By the way, is it just me, or did parts of our aircraft equipment change since the last flight? I don't think we had the multi-mode receiver in here. We certainly shouldn't have it. That's classic radios, and we should also have the old pressure panel, like that. Okay. Very good. So, let's quickly grab some Navigraph charts then. So, unload the old flight and import the new one, please. Here we go. Gatwick to Brussels. So, is there any conventional backup we can do? Yeah, 079 inbound to Detling. So, let's go 079. And I'll just tune the same... No, 096 actually on the other hand side. That's from Dover, okay. Here we go, both sides set. Then we need Detling 17.3 on number 1. Like so. And finally, Dover 1495 on number 2. Perfect. And that is about all we need. Then let's get Natus 136525. That working? No, it's not. Well, then we're just gonna contact delivery like that on 121.955. Gatwick delivery, good evening, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform 737-800 on stand 133. The ATIS isn't working, request clearance to Brussels.
Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform Gat delivery, hello, thank you, I'll have a look into that today. Your clearance to Brussels, Minfo 1 Mike departure, squawk 7571.
Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform, clear to Brussels, Minfo 1 Mike departure, squawk 7571.
Ryanair 12 Fox Uniform correct, and report ready for push on the frequency.
Wilco. Okay, so that's going to be an initial climb 70, then squawk is 7571. And let's see real quick, we've got the Minfo 1 Mike departure off 26 left. Very good. Okay, so departure briefing, threats for the departure. Not very familiar with Gatwick, to be honest, so we've got to take it careful on the taxi over here. However, it doesn't look that complicated. But if in any doubt, we are just going to stop the airplane and decide. So let's continue with the route check. Echo Golf Kilo Kilo towards Echo Bravo Bravo Uniform, Ryanair Romeo Yankee Romeo 12 Foxtrot Uniform. Minfo departure, and then it is Yankee 312 Dover, Lima 18 Vabic, Quebec 70 Coxie with Coxie arrival. Distance 233 versus 214, so slightly longer, that's due to the star, and that is fine with us.
Clear to Jersey, North 1 exit departure, squawk 7.
Okay, time UTC 102, no sorry, time UTC, did I update that? No I didn't. Doesn't matter, let's fly in daylight, that's nicer anyway. So, okay, one more time. Time UTC is 1611, altimeter 1023, reading 180. The MFRA is going to be 1180. The flight directors are on with the standby instruments set. Left seat takeoff, runway 26 left, flaps 5, noise abatement procedure number 2. And probably gonna do not that much hand flying since Gatwick is rather busy airspace. Emergencies, as briefed earlier, for the taxi, pushback with the nose most likely to the left, and then something like Kilo, Papa, and down here some of those holding points. And for the SID, it's the MIM 1 Mike departure that's on a chart over here. What's that? 20-3 Victor Alpha, effective 5th of October. Warning, stepped climb due to interaction with other routes. Pilots must ensure strict compliance with the specified climb profile, unless cleared by ATC. And talking about specified climb profile, it's 4,000 initials, so I was wrong about those 6,000 up here. So here we go, that's 4,000. SID itself straight at 2.3 miles, and that is this one, the 258 Bravo point. Then a right-hand turn, inbound 31 DME Datling, that's Datling 31, 220 knots maximum, between 3,200 and 4,000. And we've got 29 DME Datling below 4,000, on towards Acorn at 5,000. And there's a right-hand turn to Mimfo to 6,000. Okay, finally, when instructor Continental London control report, call sign, SID designated current altitude and initial cleared altitude, and that's it. Any questions on the briefing? No? Very good. Then let's do the performance. It's going to be a takeoff 2. We shouldn't have that climb bump, by the way. So 22k, and it's 45 degrees. And then going on, we've got a flap 5 takeoff with a CG we'll take straight from here. 5.8 units of trim. And the speeds 137, 138, 142 look good to me. So let's just wait for that trim. Here we go. So 142 into the MCP.
1523.
Okay, here we go. So starting APU, and then we can start with our checklists. So, safety inspection checklist before... Actually, you know what? We started in transit, so let's do the transit before start checklist. Gear pins 1 to 3 removed, probe covers 1 to 3, 4, 5 removed, oxygen test 100%, yaw damper on. Fuel, that's 3.2 required, 4 on board, and 4 pumps on. Fast melts on, window heat on, air cannon press, PAX auto bleeds on set, press mode selector, auto instruments cross-checked, auto brakes, RTO. Speed brake, down detent, park and brake set, stop trim cutter switch is normal, radius radar and transponder set standby, radar and aileron trims 3 and 0, take a brief and discussed, and holding at the PA. So let's say hello to the passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel, and in the name of RYANAIR, I'd like to welcome you all on board our flight to Brussels. Flight time today about 45 minutes, and we do expect a smooth ride in 23,000 feet. We'd like to thank you very much for being our guests today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. If there is anything we can do for you to make it more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask our cabin crew and have your credit card ready. The cabin crew is shortly going to point out the safety demonstration. Please listen carefully, as that is going to be not only for your own safety, but also for the safety of the passengers sitting around you. Thank you for your attention, and once again, welcome aboard. Okay, cool. So that's that. Let's quickly get GSX ready. I don't know if I even have a profile for Gatwick. Probably do, but we'll see. Alright, ground. You can disconnect everything. And the doors may be closed as well.
EC51, Romeo uniform, fully ready.
95-1.
Okay, looks good.
Thank you. Hold position in contact ground 121.805 for that.
Then let's continue with the checklist. PA complete, FMC CDU set, N1 IS box, automatic, reduce 22k, speeds 37, 3842 set. Stop trim 5.9 units set. Well, handling, I'll just take something. So stop trim 5.9 units set, performance weight balance, sign send, phones off, EFB, airplane mode stowed. Interesting pushback tug. Flight windows and cockpit door locked, doors closed, passengers seated. Before start checks complete down to the line. And yes, guys, this is indeed how quickly you can do it. And how it is actually done on the line at times. RYANAIR 12 Foxtrot uniform, request startup.
RYANAIR 12 Fox uniform, thank you. Hold position ground 121.805 for that.
121.805, RYANAIR 12 Foxtrot uniform, see ya. Okay. Then let's quickly wait for GSX to connect. Do they have a second tuck, by the way, or is that the one we're gonna get? Okay, that is the one we're gonna get. Well, so be it. Can live with that. So to... Okay, here we go. Gatwick ground, good evening, RYANAIR 12 Foxtrot uniform, stand 133, request pushback.
RYANAIR 12 Foxtrot uniform, Gatwick ground, hello, stand 1320, push and start approved, face east.
Stand 133, push start approved, face east, RYANAIR 12 Fox uniform. Okay, below the line, air compacts off, anti-collision light on, park brake set, and transponder out off, before start checklist complete. Okay, and with that, we are about ready to go again. So I got to defend GSX for once. That pushback tuck is probably screwed because I have I started the updater initially, and then I had to abandon the update in order to start the live stream, because it just took, well, it reached 20 minutes at a point, and that was the point where I lost patience, and where I was like, well, in 5 minutes I'm gonna go live, so I'm just gonna cancel the update. And probably it was updating the textures of that tuck right away, and for that reason they might be missing now. That's my explanation for this. So, for once in a lifetime, I actually got to defend GSX as well. But apart from that, as you say, MS, that's Wizz Air doing the pushback for us. Okay, cool. So, we are beyond the line, starting engine 2. And 2. Alright, Forrest, where are we flying now? Well, we are now going from Gatwick to Brussels, as we had a crash to desktop on the way into Copenhagen. So we're now doing Gatwick, Brussels. And I do apologize, by the way, for not flying the return flight out of Copenhagen now. I just have a feeling it's gonna get too late, and I'd rather do a full flight with you guys while I have the time, rather than invest in the time and then ending beyond the event of the event and stuff like that.
Taxi 1 altitude,
okay, so that's the brake set. Okay, starter cutout, monitor 2, starting 1. And 2. Oil pressure, and 1. But it's really unfortunate that we got another crash to desktop. It happened with the 787, and now it happened here again, but only on the live streams. Because in the meantime I spent like 20 hours on that simulator on my off days, recording some other videos and flying the TBM and stuff like that, and everything worked fine. And now on the live stream it starts crashing a desktop again. I really don't know why it's happening, but well, so be it. And MS, we're flying to Brussels, not to Charleroi. And RYANAIR has been asking earlier, did you change any settings in your Orion 2 F-16 stick for flying the A320? No, I didn't. I did play around with it, but I really didn't like the general airplane behavior when I went to that Phoenix recommended -30 sensitivity, so... Okay, starter cutout, monitor 1, and there is our hand signal already received. Number 1 stable.
For ground, you can get 8, 1, 2, ready to
Easy 8812, taxi on point Alpha 3, runway 2, left, flight Quebec Alpha, Lima, Papa, and Alpha November.
Okay, flight control check. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, and the rudders, full left, full right, neutral. Okay, B4 taxi checklist. Generators on, APU off, start switches continuous, probe lead on, MTIs off, air conditioning, PAX auto, bleeds on, isolation off, auto, flaps. That is 5 required, 5 selected and the green light, step trim 5.9 required set, Start levers idle, determined, flight controls checked, recall checked, B4 taxi checklist complete. Okay, unable 220 knots, that is not a problem.
Lima 90 no.
Roger, contact delivery 121.
Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform, request taxi.
Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform, taxi tronic point, 3 runway 26 left by kilo, Papa and Alpha Led Alpha.
Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform, taxi holding point Alpha 3, runway 26 left via Kilo Papa Alpha November. Oh damn it. Didn't mean to close that one.
Lima 90, contact Gatwick delivery 121.155.
Okay, so that's Kilo Papa Alpha November to Alpha 3. Alright, that is understood. That should be easy. Break off, config.
1 to 1
And off we go. Surprisingly, no need to do a brake check in the 737, but that's how the Boeing are. And by the way, this scenery is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Really like it. So if anybody of you knows where Ryanair actually parks in Gatwick, then do put it in the comments below. Because I just randomly picked one now because I didn't invest the time to look it up. Okay, so going right on the Papa.
Alright, 60 Echo Lima, Gatwick ground, hello, hold position, confirm squawk 6463.
And then we're looking for Alpha November, which should be the first one on the left there as far as I can see. Yeah, Alpha November, there's the sign, perfect. And then to Alpha 3, that is over here. Yeah, we know where to go now, so let's get rid of that. Okay, perfect. So ultimately we are on the way again. So you might have seen me seemingly rushing things here a little bit, but as you can see, it really worked. And indeed, that is the kind of speed that we would often use in the actual cockpit as well. Now, things are not being rushed. That's why I said kinda rushing. Things are not rushed over here. However, that is the kind of speed that, you know, once you've done these things 1,000 times, that is the kind of speed at which you can do these kind of things. Okay then, left on Alpha November. Then we're looking for Alpha 3. That should be the second holding point on the right hand side. Looks good. 124.230 Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform, bye bye. So 124.230. Okay, so that is Alpha 2, that's Alpha 1, and this one up here should be Alpha 3. So that's what we'll take. Okay, before takeoff, checklist to the line. Config, checked, flaps, 5 green lights, stop trim, that's 5.9 set. Takeoff briefing, left seat takeoff, runway 26 left, flaps 5, noise 2, and the takeoff speed's 37, 38, 42. Sit, straight out right turn, and climbing 4,000 initially, contact departure when advised, and finally emergency straight at, climbing 3,000, and that is going to keep us safe. Any question? No? Okay, cabin secure, before takeoff checks complete. Gatwick Tower low, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform ready. It looks like we need to stop. Gatwick Tower, good afternoon. Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform ready for departure.
Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform, Gatwick Tower, hello, via Alpha 1, line up runway 26 left.
Via Alpha 1, line up 26 left, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform. Okay, so Confirm readback. Line up 0826 left. Clear left. Clear right. Cabin crew, please take your seats for departure. Before takeoff checklist below the line. MCP, set, transponder, Tara, strobe lights on, holding at the landing lines.
Lufthansa 1523, contact down with Director 126, decimal 825.
Director 126, decimal 825, caution Lufthansa 1523, bye-bye.
Okay, let's pre-select that frequency.
Go ahead. Maybe 8812, Gatwick Tower, hello, behind the departing RYANAIR Boeing 737, via Alpha 1, line up on the 26 west, behind the current traffic, Galapagos, Alpha 1,
Okay, just preparing that sunshade here. We aren't allowed to have it up here for the takeoff, but right afterwards. Runway 12 Foxtrot uniform, runway 26 left, clear for takeoff. Landing lights on before takeoff check is complete. Timing. Stabilized. Set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. Checked. Right into the sun. Lovely. Gear up. LNF. One 26 decimal H25 Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform SEA. Okay, buck up. Flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 1. And we're just delaying the call to the director because we want to clean up the airplane first. That's part of the first flight of the airplane. And flaps up. Speed check, flaps up. Gatwick director, good evening, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform 2500, climbing 4000.
Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform, Gatwick director, hello, landing, oh, that's not for you, sorry. Climb flight level 180.
Climb flight level 180, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform. Is that now or via SID?
Well, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform, climb now flight level 180. In the UK, the climb slowly, so we'll write the SID restrictions.
Roger, climbing now level 180, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform. Yeah, our company still tells us different, but doesn't matter.
Yeah, this fitness change because it's not, it's different from the rest of Europe, but yeah, I should have specified quite now, just to clear the confusion. My apologies.
No worries. Okay, so set 180 checked, and then let's get rid of all those stupid restrictions. And flaps up, no lights. VNAV, set standard. After takeoff checklist. Okay, so aircon and press, that's at 2.4 climbing and...
Sorry, could you say it again? 118 decimal, sorry.
Contact Gatwick director 118.95.
Altimeters. Well, we're above the MSA, so we can reset this one here as well. Okay, altimeter standard, passing level 60 now. Checked. Alright. So, and we're cleared above 1500, so we can go ahead and go for full climb thrust. Here we go. Nice. Okay, so we are flying once again. Quick word here on that little discussion I just had with the air traffic controller. Quick word on that little discussion I just had with the air traffic controller. So in the UK, they have all those restrictions on the SID, but according to my experience, and that matches what is in the operations manual part C as well, they still need to say climb now if they want you to ignore all the SID restrictions. If they still want you on those SID restrictions, then they will just say climb flight level 180, and then you climb in accordance with the restrictions on the SID. At least that's what it still says in my manuals. So I do believe this to still be current. And at least when I still flew to the UK, now I haven't been there in half a year, but at least when I still flew to the UK, that was still very much how they handled it in the practice as well. Right, Altimeter, passing 102, climbing 180, 10 tracks. Fuel is balanced with 4 pumps on, light off, angular bank 25, APU off, air cannon press 4.3, climbing set, fasten belts auto, recall checked 1 to 1.5. Monitoring, 10 checks complete. Alright, and that's about as easy as it gets. Flying a 737. And David, how do you get the flight directors to show before takeoff? They usually show for you after you get airborne. Well, have you pressed the toga button? You need to press the toga button. Otherwise that is not working. And thanks for looking up the original stand, guys. So gate 1 through 5 at Pier 1. Thank you very much for that. And MS, what is the estimated block time? Yeah, looking at about an hour or so. We're looking for 45 minutes flight time. David.
1-2 Foxtrot uniform, North Florida ATC, available, Unicom 122.8, bye-bye.
122.8, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform, see ya. Too bad, I thought they would have full ATC for the flight, but a little bit of silence surely can't hurt either. Okay, here we go, Unicorn. And then we can go straight up to cruising level, I suppose, 230. Alright, over at Coxie we should be in Belgian airspace already, so it's just going to be a short period here on Unicom. But, well, that means I can take my headset off, and that is something that I do certainly appreciate. Okay, David, you asked earlier, do you think that the bulb lights on the 737 should be more orange? Not really, to be honest. Every airplane looks a little bit different there, so just because, you know, just because this is looking like that, others are looking a little bit different, but honestly, I'm happy with them as they are. I'm really happy with them as they are. Okay. So, let's see if we can work ahead a little bit, since this is going to be a pretty short flight. Brussels ATIS is 132475. Pretty hard to understand anything here, is it? Can you guys understand anything on the ATIS? Because I'm having my difficulties here. Oh, 1,000 to go. Well, now it went in a VNAV path. That means it's gonna level off there anyway. Okay, well, we do know that they've got runway 25 active, and that is all we need at first. Alright, so that shall be fine. That means 25 left is probably going to be the correct runway for us. I don't really know where RYANAIR is parking in Brussels, but I suppose we're going to find out. Then, Tortentensor, I just want to say how much I appreciate your videos. I learned so much being entertained at the same time. Thanks a lot, and always 3 greens. Thank you very much, Tortentensor. That's really appreciated. And Bone, how's your A330 rating going? Well, I am flying the plane for 2 months now. That's how it's going. And David, you meant the exterior lights. Okay, so let's read that question again. You think the bulb lights on the 737 should be more orange? No, not really. I mean, those original lights, they are rather weak anyway, so no, I don't think any bigger changes needed there. I'm happy with them as they are. Actually, they are too strong even. They are too strong. And Rohan, how does the A330 feel compared to the 737? Well, the first word that comes to my mind is spacious. You just have a lot of space in that airplane, compared to the 73, which is, well, pretty cramped. And the A330 also seems a better worked out principle to me. So in the 737 you can really see that they had all these things from the 737 original, and then they pumped in that stuff, upgrading it to the Classic, to the NG, to the Max, but you can see how it's kinda a hybrid where everything has been added over the time. Compared to that, the A330 is just a clean sheet design, and it's running really good at that. So I like the 330 better. Okay then, let's do a very quick setup here. 250 below 100, that's in. Forecast pages we'll just take for flight level 200 and flight level 100. Okay, let me quickly grab SimBrief so that I actually got some wind data available to put in. Okay, here we go. So that's 296 at 36. And at level 100 we're looking at 305 at 35. Like so. Transition level we'll have to see. The ATIS was pretty weak right now, but I'm just cheating looking into the text ATIS, and that one says QNH 1023. And the transition level in here is 50. Okay, runway 25 left, and that's a 10-mile ring and a 4-mile ring. Okay, that looks good. Alright, should be done. So, all we need now is a couple of charts and setting up the ILS frequency and the minima. So, Brussels, Coxie 8 Alpha, approach chart, and we're looking for Zulu 25 left. One 1035. Active. Active. The missed approach is just based on a heading. That means we don't need any VORs or so. So I'm just going to tune Brussels VOR 14.6 on both sides, and that should have us fully prepared. Okay, minimums 350. This still takes much too long on the PMDG. I wish they would simulate the click and drag option correctly. Unfortunately, they do not simulate it at all. And then 1023 was our ATIS QNH pre-selected like that. Alright, very good. So approach briefing then. Threats for the arrival. Well, maybe a last minute runway change on the runway 25 right. I don't know about that yet, but if it happens, we'll talk to ATC and we'll have that sorted quickly. Okay, so let's go over the magic box then. We've got 250 below 100, forecast page filled in, fixed rings 25 left, 10 miles, 4 miles. And it's a Coxie 8 Alpha arrival starting at Cock towards Kirky above flight level 70, and that's what we have in here. Yeah, speed restriction. Aircraft being radar vectored shall reduce speed max 250 at 30 DME Brussels or when below 100. Okay. I'll tell you what that means. Let's quickly put that in here. Brussels 30. And that's this. Okay, so from there, coming from Kirky, we continue towards Bruno. And what do we have here? Speed limitation, max 220 knots from initial approach fix until localizer intercept. So initial approach fix is actually Kirky, so that's right. I mean, that's going to be like 60 miles flying at 220 knots, but that's what they want. Also, it's max 220, so let me just correct that. Okay, so Kirky, Bruno, and then it's a right-hand turn towards Ginku. And that's pretty much all we need. So Ginku, I'll say maximum 180 knots. Happy with that. So approach starts out of the Bravo 25 Lima Foxtrot point, mandatory 2000, 3-degree glide, and that is exactly what we have in here as well. Down to a minimum 350, that's what we have, and in case I missed approach, climb on track 249 at 700, turn left, max 185, heading 105, climb in 4000. Yep, that's what we have. Alright, if we go around, press toga, call go around, flaps 15, set go around thrust, raise landing gear with a positive rate, 400 feet, flaps 5, keep it on 5 for the turn due to the 185 knot restriction, and thereafter we're going to continue. Okay, in the meantime, just got to contact me here from Brussels, 131.1. Didn't hear that at all. Just saw it on the pilot client flashing.
1523 Brussels, hello, radar contact, stop climb, level 330.
But okay, it's fine, we're gonna give him a call now.
Channel 22 Brussels, hello, radar contact.
Brussels, good evening, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform level 230 over at Vagik.
Ryanair 12 Fox uniform Brussels, hello, radar contact, descent level 180, clear Coxie 8 Alpha arrival.
Descent level 180, Coxie 8 Alpha arrival, Ryanair 12 Fox uniform. Okay. Set. Flight level 180 tracked. And down we go. Alright, cool. So, what did I forget? I believe the courses. Yep. So, 249. And on the other side, we'll go for the same, 249. Like that. Alright, perfect. So, we're eventually going to vacate the runway to the right. We'll see if there is no traffic behind us, we'll let it roll to Charlie 5. Otherwise, we'll go off at the first convenient exit, really. I am going to use auto brakes 3 for this one. And if we have a quick look down here, then let's see. Burning 500 kilograms, 2.1. So that's 60.1 tons.
Lima Yankee Brussels, hello, squawk 1000.
Here we go, flaps 30 and auto brakes 3. We'll probably get off at Charlie 2 or Charlie 4 or something we like, but we'll do a little bit of manual braking to figure out exactly where we want to go.
Line level 240 and...
So, let's quickly get the parking stance, even though I'm not 100% sure where they're actually going to put us, but we will find out. Any questions? No? Very good. Then we can do the descent checklist, please. Pressurization, land alt... Is that 300 actually correct, or did I forget to set it? It should be like 150. Okay, land out 150. Anti-ice, off, cross before discussed, EOS outbox. 03142, minimum Sparrow 350. Set and checked. And that is the descent checklist complete. Alright, so that's pretty much it. And for some reason that I do not quite... Oh wow, Metal Eye in the comments. Bhutan, minus 600 feet per minute challenge. Bank angle checked. Sounds interesting. The Aviator, please do consider flying within India sometime. Would especially love to see you fly into Lee Aerodrome, one of the world's highest airports that has beautiful approach over the Himalayas. Sounds interesting. If there is any ATC online or any VATSIM event going on over there, then I would certainly consider that. And Taser XI, when do you use baro reference for minimums instead of radio altimeter? So baro is used for anything that is not an autoland. The radio altimeter is only used for Cat 2 and Cat 3 approaches. Anything else you use baro.
1523 due to traffic at 350 same direction of flight, propose this current level as your new cruising level. Can you accept that?
Forrest, what do I think of the crew rest in the A330, and can you rest well in there? Well,
330
I absolutely like it, at least if you've got a proper one. Like on some of our aircraft, we actually got separate crew rest compartments for the pilots and the cabin crew, and on others we just got premium economy seats. And I hate the premium economy seats, but I love the separate crew rests. You can really sleep well in there, certainly when it's like 3 AM anyway. And the Aviator, quick question, how does the ATC audio quality on VATSIM compare to real life? Good question, honestly. I tend to say at times the guys on VATSIM are easier to understand, at other times real life is easier to understand. It's really sometimes this, sometimes that. Now, don't get me started on... just don't get me started on HF radios, please. But on VHF radios, VATSIM is kinda alright. Okay, 1000 to go. Andrew, have I done a flight to Windhoek yet?
And 12 Fox uniform, continue descent level 120 level Kefki.
Right, 12 Fox uniform, descent level 120 level Kefki. Set. 12,000 checked.
Airport 647, Berg line.
Okay then, level at Kefki, he says.
That'll be on Unicom, 122.8.
Guess he means Kirky.
Unicom 122.8, made by an Alpha 5
Rhino 12 Foxtrot uniform, just to confirm level at Kirky.
Affirmative.
Thanks.
Xavier 99 Romeo, contact Amsterdam, 125.
Alright, here we go.
150, go ahead.
Okay, 12575, 99 Romeo, clear out.
Need 800 feet a minute for that. Let's go vertical speed. Okay, a couple of clouds coming on the left there. Temperature is 0, but I don't think we're gonna enter those. I think we'll stay outside.
Portugal 58 Romeo Tango, contact Amsterdam 124.880, go ahead.
David White, do I support any football clubs? Well, if I say anyone now, then it's certainly gonna end up with a fight in the comments, so no, the honest answer is that I am somewhat neutral in terms of football clubs. I watch the matches of my country, or things like the European Championship, the World Championship, but not any of the leagues or any of the clubs. Mellow, what would I consider a good landing rate in feet a minute in stormy and windy conditions when you need to make a firm landing? Well, honestly, I don't have any such numbers really. Not in feet a minute. I would just go for something like, you know, throwing the plane down and that's it. In the end, it's going to be the seat of the pants sense that's going to tell you if the landing was good or not. Forrest, have I ever flown to Sweden, and if so, what airports? Well, I've flown over Sweden, but not to it, unfortunately. And Andrew, have I done a flight to Windhoek yet, and or the Kruger in the South Africa? The Kruger flights were stopped quite early, but Windhoek, not yet, but soon. Oh wow, those 245 knots feel really slow. Back in the day when I was flying that thing, you know, it was like, okay, you just had to do it. But now it just feels so incredibly slow. Unbelievable. But well, in my new airline we are mostly doing like 300 plus knots anyway. So, yeah. Even though the econ speed would be 270, but usually you just go faster because the American ATC just doesn't like you go that slow. And German ATC usually gets you in faster as well. Okay. So, is there anything else that I have not done on a short flight like this?
60 Echo Lima Brussels, hello.
And Mello, have I ever flown into Lithuania? Yeah, I did. I've basically been to all of the Baltics. I've been to Tallinn, I've been to Vilnius, I've been to Kaunas, I've been to Riga. I think I've been to all the Baltics.
Ryanair 60 Echo Lima negative, that's Coxie 8 Alpha.
And Rohan, also I wanted to ask, the A330 is known as a giant glider, or is it true that you descend with an idle thrust? The A330 is a giant glider. While the 737 covers about 3 nautical miles per 1,000 feet of descent, the A330 does 4, and I don't think any other airliner covers as much of a distance.
Thank you.
And the Aviator, try doing a live stream with the live random failures. I recently did that in the A340. It didn't go 100% as nice as I would have thought it would, mostly because of the A340 had a limit of like 7 failures or so, which I didn't know about. But I did that in the past. I just don't want to do it too often, because it feels like stealing from Flight Deck to Sim. He was the one who came up with it, and it kind of feels like stealing his idea. And Forrest, what would be my dream aircraft to operate? Well, that's a good question. Probably the A350. The A330 is very nice already, but could be a little bit more modern than that. The A350 would probably be my favorite. Okay then, fast melts on.
Mike Charlie, Brussels, hello, radar contact, climb level 240.
Climb 240, Lufthansa Mike Charlie.
Ryanair 12 Fox Uniform, proceed direct, Bravo Uniform November.
Alright, Bono Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform. Okay.
And 12 Fox Uniform, descent level 80, contact Brussels, arrival 118.25, goodbye.
Descent level 80, contact arrival 118.25, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform, see ya.
Line 2103, leave my airspace, leave my Unicom, 122.8, enjoy the flight, goodbye.
Okay, let's just listen to the ATIS once more.
Departure clear and dry. Transition level 50. Wind 230 degrees 11 knots.
Express 9, reactive Charlie,
2.132 NH1023. No lead confirmed information golf.
Okay, we've information golf.
Revert back to previous frequency.
I don't understand what the answer.
You're on the wrong frequency, so revert back, go back to the previous frequency. On the 8th November Echo, contact Brussels, 131.1, good night, bye-bye.
131.1, Lufthansa 8 November, good evening.
Brussels, good evening, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform, level 132, descending 80, inbound, Bravo, Uniform, November.
Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform, Brussels, arrival, hello, identified.
Good, that much about it. The good thing is we didn't overfly Kirky, so we didn't have to reduce our speed towards 220. On the other hand side though, within 30 miles they said to reduce speed, but let me just cross-check that chart once more. I do believe it was a 220, a 250 restriction. Let's just see that once more. So, aircraft being radar vector shall reduce speed maximum 250 at 30 DME Brussels or below 100. Okay, that's what we're doing anyway. We are only doing 245, we are poor Ryanair. Okay, going through a couple of clouds, engine NTIs on. Tai tai. Wonder if we might be getting any shortcut over there. With a bit of luck, maybe. And the Aviator, can't wait for fly-by-wire to release the A380. Flew it at once with Emirates, absolutely mind-blowing, huge and comfortable aircraft. I do agree, for pilots as well. Any pilot I've spoken to who's flown on the A380 was really happy with it. So I'm really looking for the fly-by-wire A380 as well. That's gonna be a great aircraft. Okay, tell you what, let's go a little bit lower, level change, just because we might be cut short a bit over here. Engine anti-ice off. So I'm just anticipating we could get a little shortcut over here with a vector to the 10-mile final straight, so for that reason I'm taking it a little bit slower. Or rather, a little bit lower, rather than slower. And clear prop 09, that's a good question there. Hi, I have a question regarding the Airbus. In the AFCOM it says that the aircraft will keep a 1G corrected for pitch attitude when the side stick is released. What does corrected for pitch mean? Basically it means that when you're when you are flying, let's say, climb or descent, then obviously you are going to have a different g-force than 1. In climb you always have a little bit more than 1, because you're actually moving up, and in descent you'll have a little bit less than 1, and it's correcting for that. And Forrest, well, the 350 can be flown parallel to the A330, right? I think Finnair pilots do this, for example. Yeah, that is possible. It is a common type rating. However, it depends on the airline if they actually do it or not. Okay, let's get a little bit of background lights going. Altimeters. Passing 100, descending 80, 10 checks. Fuel is balanced, 4 pumps, lights on. Angular bank 25, air conditioning pressurization, that's at 4.6. Descending set, fast modes on, recall check 1 to 1.5. Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform, turn right heading 090. Heading select. Okay, this time I'm not going to extend the center line. I'm a little afraid of it just hanging up again. Vertical speed. Okay, below 10,000 we can take the vertical situation display on.
131, decimal 1, bye-bye.
Hazu, do I use any sky color change? No, I don't. This is all the default simulator.
Ryanair 24 head cell, hello, identified class side level 70.
So, reducing vertical speed a little bit. Let's try to keep the CDA.
For descent altitude 3,000 feet, QH 103.
Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform, descent 3,000 feet, QNH 1023. Which runway can we expect?
Sorry, I thought you were advised to runway 25 right now.
Runway 25 right, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform. Okay, lovely. So we got to do a runway change once again.
Are you ready for 25 right, or you need some delay back?
Yeah, we can do 25 right straight away, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot uniform. Maybe 20 miles?
20 miles, okay, watch it.
Okay, 25 right, let's get out the charts. Should be a quick change, really. So let's see, Uveti, we'll just take that on top. Inbound course should be 243. Last minute runway changes, how I love them.
Ryanair 124. So Yankee, can I have a spot list, please?
Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform 300 diagonal 32.
Thank you. Ryanair
So,
2 Alpha Hotel contact Brussels.
course now should be 244.
Bye-bye.
Here we have it, 108.9.
Ryanair 2 for Hotel contact 131 decimal 129.
And the minimums is 302. Alright, so rings should be around 25 right now.
60 Echo Lima, Brussels arrival, headway identified, descent flight level 80.
/10/4. And quick check on the missed approach. Climb at 244, track at 700, turn right, heading 105, climbing 3000 when as directed. Okay, that is exactly what we have. Perfect.
Ryanair 1 Foxtrot Uniform, 200 knots or less, 00 knots or less.
Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform, 200 knots or less, and we're ready for base anytime. Okay, so, very quick rebriefing, ILS 25 right, starting out at,
right heading 180.
Right, 180, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform. So, flaps 1.
Ryanair 1 Foxtrot Uniform, descent 6,000 feet.
Descent 2,000 feet, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform. 2,000 checked. Flaps 5. Okay, so,
For making the right turn all the way, heading 220, clear dial 5 right.
Right turn 220, clear dial S25 right, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform. Okay, give me 190, actually, you know what, flaps 10. We might still overshoot though. Okay, Warlock captured. Alright, so very quick rebriefing. ILS starting at 6 miles, 2,000 feet, 3-degree glide down to a minimum of 302, which is set. And in case of missed approach, it is going to be straight at 700 feet, then a right-hand turn heading 015. Okay, that's really it. Course is 244, frequency is 108.9, and that's what we have. India Bravo Romeo the ident. So let's run a quick frisk check. Frequencies 108.9, set 1, 2, and 3 times. Rings 10-4 around runway 25 right. Idents India Bravo Romeo, standby instrument set, and the course is 244. Approach checklist. Altimeters and instruments, second cross checked, approach rates, checked and set, approach checklist complete. Alright, another last minute runway change mastered. Slowly catching up on the glide slope there. Approach armed. Okay then, gear down. So, vertical speed.
Ryanair 60 Echo Lima, descent flight level 70.
Glide slope capture. 3,000 feet set. Terrain noted. Oh, accidentally hit a trim button. 118.6, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform, bye. Okay, so man, I keep hitting that trim button. So autopilot back on. Brussels Tower, good evening, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform, ILS 25 right. Flaps 15. Runway 25 right, clear to land, Ryanair 12 Foxtrot Uniform. Wow, this is a great view. And this is a great landing clearance. So I was even a little bit overcautious with that landing gear here. Shouldn't have needed that. Well, it doesn't matter. Flaps 30. Landing checklist. Start switches. Continuous, recall, check, speed brake, arm green light, landing gear down 3 green, auto brake, 3 set, flaps. Let's see, that's 30, 30 green light, landing lights on, landing checklist complete. Alright, and now somebody tell me that 737 cannot reduce its speed. Alright then, looks good to me, let's take the automation off. Checked. Continue.
Runway 25 on Bravo 3 via the inner QNH 101.
EDI-3 ready for ready to taxi.
EDI-21 station straight taxi on point of Bravo 1. Runway 25 rijden van je Sierra.
Check.
Taxi to only port Bravo 1 for runway 25 right via Sierra and what is the Echo 7, EDI-2183.
Outer 7.
Outer 7, EDI-2183.
Okay, speed brake up. Thruster as normal.
Ground Air Portugal.
Manual brakes. Auto brake disarm. 80 knots. 60 knots.
Taxi to runway 25 right via runway.
Okay, here we are.
Air Portugal 641.
British Tower, wonderful good evening. Requesting pushback at gate 206 right.
Dat minor single Victor, Brussels to Tower at Host, Squad Point Charlie, then push up coast, station 2.
So it's heading 4.1 Charlie, then pushback at full setting east over wing, looking at 19 degrees.
Ryanair 1 to Foxtrot uniform, welcome to Brussels, taxi pass 2, to base 2, via the inner, Mike and Sierra.
Stand 232 via the inners, Mike and Sierra, Ryanair 1 to Foxtrot uniform. Thanks, Sip. Okay, so inners is basically straight ahead at first. And then we're going pretty much all the way down. 232 should be somewhere over here, I believe. 23, where is it? 230? 232, here it is. Okay, inners Mike Sierra. Alright, I know where that is. Let's get rid of the charts again. I'm probably going a little bit fast right now. Yes, indeed. Alright, that looks better. Cool. Then let's clean up.
Portugal 641 via Bravo 3, domain 240 base 13 knots, domain 25 right, take off.
Clear for takeoff runway 25 right via Bravo 3, 241.
Okay, that's the after landing procedures complete. Just gotta wait until the flaps are retracted. Here we go, recall, looks good. Perfect. Okay, systems and brakes normal.
yeah, Bravo 1, been away from me, 25 right.
And we're reaching 3 minutes. Shut down engine 2. Okay, so let's see. Once we make the turn onto Mike, then Sierra is already at the end, and then 232. Perfect. Nowhere to go. So that's really all that we can ask for. Okay, approaching Mike. Let's start breaking down already, because for sure there will be some passengers standing in the back. That looks better. Now, I know of a couple captains who would actually just add a little bit power, start accelerating, and then at 30 knots just hit maximum braking when they hear a passenger standing at the back. Now, cabin crew love them. Unfortunately, well, I just never could convince myself to do that. A little bit too dangerous for the passenger that's below the other guy standing. That's master caution, hydraulics, low pressure engine 2. Associated with the engine shutdown. Okay, both sides clear. So we're looking for Sierra, that's the second taxiway, and then stand number 232.
Clear for takeoff, 25 right, 212.
Ryanair 19 with EDI to the parking, EasyJet A320,
Oh boy, that takes time searching. Here we go, 232. Yeah, only got the one on the right. Well, doesn't matter, then we'll take that. Okay, so going off to the right over here.
Portugal 641, copy departure, 118.25, bye-bye.
Departure on 118.250, Air Portugal 641, bye-bye.
Ryanair 19 whiskey, land from 118.253.
So, 240. Starting APU.
Sorry, I did not read that. Please tell me to line up.
Yes, land from 118.253, traffic is on my 8-mile final.
Okay, 238.
EC 2183, contact departure 118.25, bye-bye.
Over to 118.250, can see DC.
236. 234. And 232. So lights off. Wow, that is a perfectly parking stair over there, don't you think? That's really amazing. Very good work. Very good job parking your equipment. Alright, here we are. So, 2 blue, 1 red, engines dead. And let's make that a full shutdown. And I'm gonna leave that frequency. Okay then. Both engines below 20%. Shut down checklist, please. So, fuel pumps. 1 on for APU, electrical, APU, fasten belts off, window heat off, probe heat auto, anti-ice off, electric hydraulic pumps off, voice recorder auto, air compacts off, engine bleeds on, APU bleed off, exterior lights, steady logo wheel well, start switches off, auto brake off, speed brake down at hand, flaps up and light, park brake set, Start levers, cut off, weather radar, off, transponder, 2000 standby, CB/RCB in, cockpit door unlocked, and that's the shutdown checklist complete already. Alright guys, so thank you very much for flying with us, and yeah, I do agree, quite a lot of Wizz Air stuff there. I just gotta run my GSX updater once more, because that really broke some stuff. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today's, that's gonna be it for today's flight. I do hope that you have all enjoyed it, even with the little, even with that little crash that we had en route. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I see you all again on the next one. I am going to fly from tomorrow until Wednesday, so I will have a couple of pre-recorded videos coming up over that time. And in the meantime, if you've got any suggestions for a future video, be sure to put them in the video description or in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and then I see you all